We got everything online, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dames, sirs and ma'ams. We haven't been in Path of Exile in a hot minute, but with patch 0.3.0 coming and all the notes being out, we gotta talk. We gotta find out things. We gotta figure out stuff. We gotta look at the patch notes, and today we're gonna go through all the Ascendancy changes in detail and kind of find out the winners and the losers. I do already know Tactician stronger than ever. The actual Tactician, really good. The Ranger might become one of the best, the Deadeye. Then Amazon sadly ruined. Ritualist, so-and-so. There's quite some intriguing things going on. I think we're going to start with the losers. We're going to begin actually with the Amazon today, which got the critical strike, notable passive skill, has gain additional crit chance equal to 15% of access chance to hit instead of 25. Let's actually go onto the Amazon, because I have one ready for this, so we can read and see what's happening. Pairing of Warbringer looks better right now, to a point where I might actually be interested to finally playing it. So far I have like ignored it, but we gotta potentially think about it. So what do we have? We got chance to hit with attacks exceeds 100%. Yeah, gain additional critical chance to 25% of excess chance to hit with attacks. So that's 25, but it will actually go over to only be 15 now. And that's kind of like, that's a wholesale nerf, right? So we get Ascendancies. We're going to go for Amazon first. With Amazon. So crit hit chance down to 15% from 25%. That's huge, right? And the Elemental Surge notable passive, previously Elemental Infusion, now grants 3 surges when consuming a Power Frenzy or Endurance charge. That's actually good, right? So, I like that. But Amazon going down right away here is just a wholesale nerf, because that's what the whole class is. The Fissure Hammer is going to be so good, Faring. I'm so excited for that. But it's probably going to be Titan more than Warbringer. We'll have to look at it. It might also be instead of Titan, Smith of Katava, because of the fire spell on hit. We'll pay attention to this. I'll actually look at the skill. What do I want to look at? Lightning Spear is also getting nerfed, right? So we got the nerf to Lightning Spear. What do we have here? That was Lightning Spear, right? Now fires 5 secondary bolts at all levels, previously 3 to 8, and no longer deals more damage when consuming a frenzy charge. Let's read Lightning Spear in total, because I completely forget how Lightning Spear actually reads. Oh, Jesus Christ, I forget even the button to bring up the skill panel was G. Do I have Lightning Spear in this one? Oh no, this one was without Lightning Spear. I should have a Lightning Spear gem somewhere. I definitely have to play some Path of Exile before the new league starts, because I'm so not used to it anymore, right? And I need to order this one, finally. So Lightning Spear currently had, was it physical damage to lightning damage, more chance to shock, modifies to projectiles, gives more projectiles, yes. So then we got the lightning bolts going out, and it was fire 7 bolts. But it was also converts physical to lightning damage, and if we consume a frenzy charge, deals 50% more damage when consuming a frenzy charge. So you're only losing 50% more damage, right? If I read that correctly. Sorry, good to see you there. Howdy. So we fire 5 bolts at all levels. Let's write that down. Lightning Spear nerf. Only 5 bolts instead of 3 to 8. And 50% damage bonus from frenzy charge. Gone. Okay. What is it? But it still gets the bonus from throwing, right? Splits towards 3 targets when consuming a frenzy charge. So if you consume a frenzy charge, you might get not the damage bonus, but you still get the bonus fork. So that should actually work, right? But I don't see it as the tremendous nerf that people try to make it out to be. Because, yeah, sure, the thing does less damage. Yeah, sure, you get less bolts, but you do still get the bonus split, and you still get enough damage from the Lightning Spear. The biggest issue is the minus crit, probably. Because instead of getting now a massive bonus, it's just a minimal bonus. The new patch is not out. The new patch is out in 5 days, but we're preparing for the patch. So anyone that likes to bring something to the table, please do. Do we have the new passive tree hulking? We have the path of building already, and some things got updated here. They've already brought out a new update for the path of building, but sadly not everything. I would really like to see the complete new rework on the passive tree. Let's see what we have here. Atlas, passive tree changes, agony changes, essence rework, passive skill tree changes. There we got that, right? We have here like the 15 new clusters and so on. We obviously don't have them. So this is something that we can't quantify in any way, right? How big of a W will this be? Because 25 new clusters is a lot, right? Like 23 new clusters in the Merc area, that could mean anything. It could mean more grenade damage, more totem damage, more bleed, more whatever, right? You also get like in the Ranger Huntress area. So that could mean that the Huntress like gets a ton more bleed stuff, and that bleed Huntress is better than ever. Because right now we get like bleed here, we get bleed over there, we get some bleed in this area, and that was it. But if we're now getting 23 more, right? Or 17 more clusters, that's crazy. It's tough to decide with the passive tree. It's tough to decide, but I think it's important to look at what's happening to the Ascendancies. I mean, really, the Amazon losing a lot of the crate, this is massive. Like this one being down to 15% instead of 25%. The Amazon is all going for bonus chance to hit. That's what the Amazon does. That's the class. Gain additional critical hit, chance equal to 25% of access chance to hit. That's it, right? You're just trying to hurt as hard as possible to get the biggest crit possible, and then attacks using your weapons have added physical damage equal to AC rating on the weapon, right? That's it. That's the thing. And if that's nerfed, why even play Amazon? Sure, you still get the elemental infusion stuff. So for me, Amazon is like definitely something that got bumped down in interest. Not too much, but definitely two big changes that influence it. Now, what else do we have? Well, we're going step by step through every single one, okay? So don't worry, we'll look at all the winners, all the losers, all the stuff that we have. Plus, as soon as we know more about the passive skill tree, we'll look at that too. Warbringer, Smith of Katava. Smith of Katava changes I actually found really interesting. I wanted to look at the Tactician, because Tactician is really nice. We've been actually playing... Is this my artillery ballista Tactician? So we'll look at it. Do you think Acolyte of Shaula will... Yes, Perva. Acolyte of Shaula will be better than ever. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Acolyte of Shaula will finally be actually a thing, right? Because currently it was just like, oh, Acolyte of Shaula. Whatever, you loser. No, that was a grenade tactician. Okay. This was my grenade tactician, but we're actually going to get a possible siege cascade totem-esque kind of tactician. Wait, we have a spear throw OP. We got the Dawn of the Hunt tactician. I'm just checking what I had. We had crossbow merc. We had the... Oh, didn't we? Our last Titan wasn't our last. That was Totem Warrior. Smith of Katava was Smith of Katavaing. Just like wrapping my mind around what we all did with these kind of things, right? Oh, that was the God Project with the Ritualist. Oh, one important thing I forgot. Rake, ladies and gentlemen. So Rake is sadly nerfed. So Rake Stomping Ground doesn't work anymore. I think this is a big part of Amazon too, or generally Huntress, right? Rake Stomping Ground gone. This was something you were doing on any kind of Huntress. Any kind of Huntress. So yeah, that's kind of stinks. Spearfield is new too. We'll have to pay close attention because Spearfield could still be good with a lot of bleed nodes, potentially hulking. Because that's actually the only way how it could still be good. Paladin is coming in Season 10? No. Paladin is not coming in Season 10. What I wanted to look at the Tactician, it might be possible to play Tactician finally more as a totem character. Because we got the Cannons Ready notable passive skill now also provides +1 to the maximum number of summoned totems. And if I look at Tactician, we got the Cannons Ready is +1 totem, But why is this so interesting? Because there's a new skill coming, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, first we get Cannons Ready. Cannons Ready was totem damage. We get Unleash here. Skill used by totems have 30% more skill speed. Totems only use skills when you fire an attack projectile. This means that I have to attack for my totems to shoot. Okay? Now it says an attack projectile. Attacks are skills that directly use your equipped weapons to do damage to enemies. If I throw grenades, my totem should work, right? So these are attacks that are throwing projectiles. So if I throw an explosive grenade, if I pump them out, then my totems should also be pumping them out. I'm not crazy. I understand that correct. So I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do this, right? Bop, 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 bop. And my actual totem on this side would do that too. But that's where it gets interesting. Because if we're now going for new skills, where was it? Futures, endgame. Oh, skill changes. Do we have skill changes? Base skill? No. Where were the new skills? Because there were new skills too. I gotta find them. They were further up the new skills. Ah, here. We got strength skill gem, toxic damage, frost darts, persistent buff, mortar cannon. Here, a strength dex persistent buff gem. Raise a cannon totem, which uses socketed grenade skills, with significantly improved cooldown recovery rate. So, if I understand that correct, so my Tactician gets totems +1. And we get the persistent buff, mortar cannon, shooting socketed grenades. I see that. I see that correct, right? So, we should be able to get 2 of these totems? Maybe? That I can just slam any of my grenades into. So, for example, if you usually forget to use your oil grenade every now and then, your totem can now shoot that. Or your totem can actually shoot a bonus skills. Well, Palm Monk, we'll get to Palm Monk, Raphael. Don't worry. I'm really interested in that. Deadeye will be the shit. Yes, Deadeye is looking very good. But I don't think I want to play Deadeye and Dre. I'm a sucker for Merg. And Merc is getting 23 new passive nodes. 23 in the actual Merc area, right? Right down here, you're getting 23 new passives. That could mean anything. But if we get more grenade passives, and then I can put that mortar cannon on, so you're actually sitting there, right? You walk into a fight, you slam down 2 mortar cannons, then I start unlashing hell on them, while my totem on the side is also like, pop, 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 and suddenly it's like even more screen-wide destruction. And the best part about totems is, chat, you forget something here. So totems get a general change because it now says, let me see if I can find it. Totems, 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 right? There's much about totems, totem. Shockwave totem, ancestral totem, artillery ballista, and siege ballista use equipped weapons. They no longer have their own flat damage base, critical hit chance, or base attack time. Which I personally do find relatively interesting because there is obviously the ballista. Let me see if I can find it. Made that build, right? Ah, yeah, we had the super string clear Tactician that I haven't like covered in a while. A hot minute. I mean, they didn't sadly nerf the artillery ballista at the same time as they buff it. But see, this is the man with the sorcerer's head, and we've been playing this ballista. Like see like where you just have the ballistas out and they go like up up up. But they were always kind of like stuck with your own very thing you were doing, right? They were only able to do their own damage, and it doesn't matter what kind of weapon you had. You only had plus ranks to ballista skills. So maybe this one could be a wholesale buff, if not a nerf, if something. So that could be intriguing. We got, was it artillery ballista and siege ballista? Now use your weapon. Could be good. Frozen, good to see there. Mario also. I love movement nodes. Don't forget we have sprint now. Sprint is a big thing that we have that will allow everyone to move somewhat faster. But obviously if you have sprint plus movement speed, you should move even faster, most likely. Who knows? But also, what did they do to Ballista? I needed to read that because there was here. Artillery Ballista has been renamed to Siege Ballista, exactly. Now has duration of 8 seconds, so you need a persistence gem on it. Bolt's attack speed is 25 base. There is a damage nerf. Radius is also nerfed. Explosion now deals attack damage, also nerfed. And you can get more explosion radius. The more explosion radius was actually interesting though, because there was something related to that. And the Ripwire Ballista has been renamed to Artillery Ballista. It now fires a hail of bolts into the air, landing in an area and hitting all enemies within the area a number of times equal to its projectile count. Bolts now fire 4 projectiles and deal 40% attack damage at gem level 120. Bolt's attack speed is now 25% of base per 100, and the Ballista now has a duration of 12 seconds 16. What I need to know is the Ripwire Ballista. I have never used the Ripwire. Like, actually never used the Ripwire Ballista. And I need to read what it says. Ripwire. Okay, right now it is...
Ripwire Ballista is an emplacement that can tether enemies to the ground. Use this to slow your foes.
I mean, sure, this was shit, right?
Ripwire Ballista...
No one likes that. That's actually shit. So it was totem attack time, totem based critical chance is 5. That's actually good. Totem uses own weapon, but now it uses my weapon. Totem gains elemental resistance. Totem gains chaos resistance, and you get the bolts that are pins enemies as through dealing 600% more damage. Oh, that was a lot of pinning happening. Huh. Okay, has renamed to artillery and now fires a hail of bolts into the air. So instead of going forward, it goes like and then boom, it goes in an area down. And it pins still, right? And deals damage at level, bolt attack speed. So it still pins. Your OBS in the wrong scene. It's vertical. No, it's not. You're in the vertical stream that says very big. So like here, see, there is the stream, and it says here in the name vertical, very big. So you landed up in one, like there are 2 streams here, a vertical and a horizontal one. All right. We got Ripwire Ballista now being artillery, correct? Artillery and shooting in the air. Good. I like that. And there's another interesting part. So we're not done with like going through the Tactician, right? So you also have the right where we want them. Notable passive skill now also grants projectile damage build-up. Because they changed this. If we're looking at the passives right now, we get the... So this one is Cannons Ready is now also giving you a bonus totem. So we get totem damage and it's a bonus totem. Then we get the... You get Suppressing Fire. And the right where we want them. Where's right where we want them? Pinned enemies cannot perform actions. The right where we want them also grants projectile damage builds pin. Okay, so on top of pinned enemies cannot perform actions, we also have the projectile damage builds pin, but they changed Suppressing Fire. Yeah, the Suppressing Fire notable passive skill provides 40% more immobilization buildup instead of projectile builds pin. So what we have is now we have the chance to immobilize, and we have the chance to pin. So we have both. We have immobilize and pin. Why ever we would need immobilize and pin? Because isn't that the same technically, right? I mean, pin is... once the spell passes the enemy's pin threshold, they're pinned, preventing them moving, being moved, or evading for 4 seconds. They're also light stunned when they become pinned. Pin targets count as immobilized. But that makes no sense. A target is immobilized if it cannot move, for example, due to being frozen, pinned, heavy stun. Huh? But how did... Huh? How does... Like... But that... What? So we have the one thing doing pinning and the other one immobilizing, but it's exactly the same, but... Or is more immobilization pin-up means more pin-up. Oh, okay, so yeah, I get it. So the first one would buff everything. Right? If it's more immobilization pin-up, and immobilization in this case is everything, then if I heavy stun someone, or if I electrocute or freeze someone, right? So if I do any of these, it gets more build-up. So I can freeze people easier, I can electrocute or heavy stun. I assume, on top of pinning better. Right? Surely that's what it says. The Polished Gear notable passive now provides deflection rating equal to 20% of armor and no longer grants 100% of armor's extra stun threshold. That's actually pretty good. I mean, Polish the Gear was here. Gain 100% armor's extra stun threshold and gain 100% of evasion rating as extra ailment threshold. It wasn't bad. But now you're getting deflection rating, and deflection is the new thing on top of evasion, where you can not only evade attacks, you can also deflect attacks, right? So, let's go for Polish Gear. Polish Gear, notable, 20% of armor as deflection rating. It should be very nice for just overall survival on the mercenary. Suppressing fire, we had that. The supporting fire skill granted by Unleash Hell. Notable passive no longer grants minions from this skill have 1% extra AC rating per dexterity. That would be the here. Grant supporting fire. That was minions from this skill. Yeah, recruit artillery minions that take a position behind you. That was when you have like the supporting fire and they go like exactly. Instead, minions from the skill have a 1% increased area of effect per 3 dex. The death from a buff command from supporting fire deals approximately 3 times more damage at all gem levels. Wow. Okay. Maybe it's finally useful. Because it was never good enough. What class will you play? That's what we're going for today. Pujar. We're going through everything. So we're going through every single Ascendancy. We already did the Amazon here. Amazon is looking more like a minus currently. The Tactician is looking like a plus. In total, what it's actually getting. We'll cover them all. This is going to be like a 3, 4, 5 hour stream. Like, we're going to take our time to really go through everything. Blood Mage looks really interesting. Blood Mage is getting a plus currently. Warrior is also looking really good. So that is, if we want to do supporting fire build, supporting fire wholesale buffed. That's really good. Like, supporting fire, getting like x3 damage. We're talking about x3 damage and area. I was hoping that the supporting fire would get like an insane overlap if you actually do this. Whoever pays the best notable now provides. There's no limit on the number of banners you can place. Banners have never felt good, so I'm ignoring that. But this one was funny. Added a new strategic embankment notable passive skill, which requires cannon ready. Okay, this causes your totems to grant embankment auras to players when placed, which grant a different effect depending on the variety of totem. So if I play now a Totem Tactician, and I would put down the Shockwave Totem, then all my totems around this would get a 30% increased area of effect. But also, if I put down a bunch of Siege Ballistas, they get 50% increased damage against immobilized enemies. And since I have immobilized bonus buildup and pin-up buildup right now, that should instantly happen. So Siege Ballistas itself, which I could already then put out more because this one is giving me +1. Could, like, yeah, they would just do more damage. Mortar Cannon grants 15% damage gained as extra fire damage. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to play Mortar Cannons together with grenades. Because then the Mortar Cannon is going to shoot out grenades. And on top, I would get more fire damage. You could also mix the Artillery Ballista together with the Siege Ballista, and then you would be getting 40% increased immobilization buildup, together with a 50% increased damage against immobilized enemies, right? Do I sound crazy? Does this sound remotely interesting? And when we can play, yeah. Can play the artillery together with the ripwire ballista together if we wanted to, because the artillery ballista is now the siege ballista and the ripwire ballista is now the artillery ballista, and you can play those both together to just like rain death on the enemy. You know? I like the idea behind this, right? So currently it looks for me personally like a full Totem Tactician could be something good. Totem Grenades could be good. Totem Mortar Cannon could be good. There's definitely a lot of experimentation I want to do with this, as I like grenades anyways. And I think grenades are beautiful. Hundi, thank you for the 34 months of support. Hundi, appreciate you. Thank you and welcome back. I'm going to do a Rapid Shot Fire Witch Hunter next season. The new heat system is interesting. If it then all works the way we want it to work, right? Some people were saying, what was it? Blood Mage. Yes, I found Blood Mage also really good. So let's, like, we're bumping a bit around, okay? Because I think Blood Mage is so cool what it's getting. Let's pull out Blood Mage right now. I want to give it a quad plus, chat, because Blood Mage is looking good. They changed, like, a lot of significant things about it that was causing so much frustration. Okay, but Blood Mage is technically powerful as fuck. But there were so many things, so many levels of frustration with it because it just wasn't there, if that makes it sense. Okay, so Blood Mage should be able to do almost everything. This is my Detonate Dead Blood Mage, by the way, or it was. I get nerfed. So currently you would have to get the Life Remnant skill, right? Which says skills gain a base life cost equal to the base mana cost. And you also had to increase the maximum life by 3. So it's like already like 2 points spent just to be shit on, literally. And what they're changing is big time that now the small life passive skill prior to Sanguimancy has been removed. And now the Sanguimancy notable passive skill is free to allocate. The Life Remnant skill is grants now spawns a remnant on hitting a target. So like we got Sanguimancy is free to allocate and hit equals to Life Remnant instead of crit, and that's huge. Like, right, your spells cost like your spells cost mana, but whenever we hit an enemy, we make Life Remnants that heal us. Spawn a remnant on critical hitting a target, no more than every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, I'm gonna get one now, for sure, guaranteed. And it's free to allocate. That means, as far as I understand, right, that I'm going to get a Blood Mage. I'm going to click this node. I get it 100%. And then I still have 2 points to instantly jump into Vitality Siphon or Spikes or Grasping Wounds, right? I don't have to get 4 points to even get anything meaningful. What will be the best build? Best class for Totem build? Technically, Warrior Saint. The problem is, so if we're going for Totem, this is, you see the Totem notes, right? So that's Warrior, that's Mercenary. So right now the Totem notes are more in the Warrior side, but we're getting new passive notes. So Mercenary is getting 23 new passive notes. Warrior is getting 13. Over here, we're getting 17. On this side, we're going to get another 12 or 13 as well. Up here is another 23. Yeah. Okay, what do we have? The Gore Spike passive skill now grants 1% increased crit damage per 50 life and has swapped locations with the Thunder the Flash notable passive skill. That means Thunder the Flash. Let me check. Thunder was, where's Thunder? Blood Burst, Vitality. So they swap around. So I increase the base crit chance and then I get more crit damage. That actually makes sense, right? So it's technically a small nerf, obviously. You have like less scaling on the crit damage bonus, but I think 10 life difference is acceptable, right? We get Between the Cracks notable passive skill has been renamed to Sanguine Tights and no longer provides critical hits ignore monster armor. Instead, it now provides gain 1 life flask per 4% life spend and 50% less life recovery from flasks. It also now has when your life flask reaches full charges, 40% of its charges are consumed and gain 1% of damage as physical damage for 3 seconds per charge consumed this way. So you want a life flask, pretty much, that has bonus charges, correct? And you want a life flask that gains a charge, or that gains more charges, or gains charges per second. And then you want to consume them and get tons more bonus damage, right? I'm in the mood. I think in the end, this will turn out to be a buff. Yes, the core spike swapping because you get the crit earlier. I'm actually fine with this change here. I like it. I mean, sure, ignoring armor was cool, but I like the fact that you actually get another damage bonus. Will it heal you when it consumes the charges? No, Duffmans, but you also don't need the heal from this, as you now create life remnants on hit and kill, so you should always have a heal going on. And having your life consumed in this case doesn't feel that bad. And on top of this, you're anyways getting 10% of spell damage leads as life probably at some point. So you should be always healed enough, right? You should always have the life remnants. You should critical strike and like, right? So having then the actual, it was here, Grasping Boons, Crimson Power. Which one was it? The Between the Cracks notable. But where's Between the Cracks? Between the Cracks. This one here was critical hits ignore armor, right? And more crit chance. And that one is like, you don't have to take it though, right? So it's like crit hits ignore armor. Yeah, sure, cool. But if your enemy anyways doesn't have a lot of armor, it's useless. So that's kind of like, should be a damage boost, right? So let's go with Between the Cracks damage boost with life flask. What I like about the mechanic here is it's an intriguing one, right? You get a life flask chance, and you can influence how many charges you get by also having like your flask get 0.2 charges per second, and on top, obviously, have a life flask with more charges. Then we get Open Source notable passive skill has been renamed to Whisper of Flesh and no longer grants your curses have infinite duration. Instead, it now grants enemies affected by your curse have at least 15% of life reserved. Open Source is where? Open Source is this. It used to say curses have infinite duration and more curse magnitude. You get this one. And you always use a curse. And this would be minus 15% life on the enemy. Open source equals to minus 15% max health, kind of. Right? I prefer ignore armor than this damage buff, Cluner. It will show if the ignore armor is better than the bonus damage in the long run. Right? Both are multipliers, but which one works better? Considering what kind of build you're going to be playing. We'll see. Can turn out to be a wholesale buff. Can turn out to not work too good. Don't forget, Witch is also getting more passive nodes on the top. So maybe we get something to interact with armor to already ignore some armor from a passive. There might be another keystone coming. Who knows? Right? That's something that we can't say much about on how it will work. At this point, I'm trying to see the upsides and not the downsides of things happening, right? I'm not sure if this one is going to be good, because an enemy having 15% less life, but your damage is still the same, so you just kill them, you only have to get 85% gone, But if you do more damage, like, what do you care about the 15%? Right? Would I not just like to do more damage in general? And then get that 15% life reserve faster gone? I guess, right? Still think alone that Sanguimancy now works on hits and not crits is just... It's just amazing. I mean, before you never wanted to play Blood Mage. Because your first 2 points were just gone. This was your first 2 points, right? Increased max life and Sanguimancy. Now you get Sanguimancy for free. It said it's going to be free to allocate, right? That's what it says. I'm not blind. I could read this. And since it says it's free to allocate, I can instantly then go into more crit chance. I can instantly go into Vitality 7, Sword, Cracks, Blarps, whatever I feel like. Right, Chan? It says it's free to allocate. Free. Not a single point needs to be spent on it. That's huge. Okay, there's Blood Mage. What do we have? We do Shayulia, but later. I haven't read through everything yet. Who do we want to tackle next, ladies and gentlemen? Ritualist has a tiny one. Let's see what's happening to Ritualist. Is there anything interesting? Ritualist. Take this. So I'm not losing the overview here. Okay, what's happening to you, Ritualist? Last time I played, it's been a while ago. Luckily, we have like everything. Was this patch bigger than you expected? No. I did believe them to make a ginormous patch because that's just what GGG does. I mean, they have 3 months to cook and they need to cook. Like, this is not just a new league, right? We're in early access and they need to get this game out of early access. They can't do small patches. This is not Diablo 4. I'm sorry for the comparison, right? This is not a game that's already released and brings out a new league and then reworks some stuff. This is a game that still has to release, so we're expecting a bit more, right? What skill do you play with Blood Mage? Anything, Thomas. You could play with Blood Mage something that profits heavily from crit. So people have been playing, for example, the Lightning Spear that you throw, the actual Lightning Spear, also with Blood Mage. But then they have been just scaling the crit up to throw like a very powerful Lightning Spear, right? It's mainly for that critical strike damage that people have been playing on the Blood Mage to really make it go crazy. I have been playing Detonate Dead, for example. So I used my minions, and then I detonated them, and I used that bonus spell crit chance to get my Detonate Dead to a very nice crit value, to then have, like, cast on crit with more Detonate Dead, and then the max life of minions for more Detonate Dead, and it was like, whoop, 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 whoop. Insane. Oticus, the class-specific skill changes. Oh, the class-specific skill changes certainly have to be taken into consideration in the long run, too. But first, we're looking only at the Ascendancy changes, and then for more, okay? We got many hours left, sir, to check stuff. Will it be entirely different builds? Yes, so I will say, Anubis, I will definitely be having to make a new leveling guide, because the problem is that Stomp doesn't work anymore. So right now, my main leveling was actually using Rage. Yes, Rage together with Stomping Ground to then just go through your enemies and absolutely destroy them. But Stomping Ground doesn't work anymore. They're taking away the traversal tag from Rage. So Rage is not going to be a traversal skill anymore here. And since it's not a traversal skill, it can't actually then do the Shockwave with Stomping Ground. And therefore, you have to like rethink the way how you level. So the cookie cutter leveling of Rage, Stomping Ground, Rage, not working. Gone. Okay? Absolutely destroyed, sadly. Now let's read a bit for Ritualist. We have, as the Whispers ask, notable passive skill has been removed, and as the Whisper demands, notable passive grants the ritual sacrifice. Huh? So what we have? We had the... Where was the sacrifice? Ah, yeah. This was As the Whispers Ask, Ground Ritual Sacrifice, where you can sacrifice an elite. And then as the Whisper demands was, Ritual Sacrifice can be used on yourself to remove 20% of maximum life and grant a random monster modifier. A maximum of 1 modifier can be granted this way. That's a really good change. Because that means that both are in 1 now. It was bullshit. You needed 4 points to use Ritual Sacrifice, right? To steal a modifier duration is 18.25 seconds. And now you have that in 1. So you can either sacrifice a monster or you can use it on yourself. That's pretty good. Like Ritualist, sacrifice nodes combined into 1. That's huge. The Wildwood Persistent Notable Passive grants 10% increased life recovery rate per 5% missing unreserved life. Previously, it was 5. No one actually played Wildwood Persistence. When we did the bonus ring slot, right? We would do the bonus gain from equipped rings and amulets, so that was like 4 points spent. Then you could also take like the reduced spirit, right? If you wanted to. You had the blood boils to mess a little bit around with them, and you would maybe like you could equip a bonus charm if you wanted to. Now you can actually take the Whisper Demands, because before it was 4 points into this to even be remotely useful, but now I need only 2 points, so I can actually put 4 points into this and then 2 points into that, and then still like, yeah. Wildwood Persistence would be better if being below 50% max life in this game didn't mean getting one shot. I do agree. I think like this makes it somewhat stronger, right? Ritualist, and like this is a slight plus so far. Is there anything Blood Boil related? No, see, Blood Boil is not even anything Blood Boil related happening. Sad face. I'm assuming there's anything like happening in that. So I guess this is a minor plus. But nothing, like, is this going to make you play the Ritualist, chat? Tell me. Are you planning to do classes and Ascendancies? Steven, I will, in the new patch, as I did before, play every single class and every single Ascendancy from 1 to 85 again. So pretty much the way how my streams work is I will start as a Huntress Ritualist, and then 1 to 85. Huntress, Amazon, 1 to 85. Warrior, Smith of Katava, Warrior, a Warbringer, Warrior, and so on, right? Always from 1 to 85. That's what I do. That's how I do my guides and my builds, because that's how you play, right? You want to get from level 1 to 85, and optimally, you would want to play one Ascendancy and not swap them. That's how I generally play. And then, sure, after 85, there are other builds too, with uniques and so on. But you might not trade, you might do solo self-found, and you might not have the uniques. I'm here to give you builds for the casual gamer, for the casual gamer dad, mom, and so on. I'm not here to make the absolute ultra super duper flooper, like I can do Arbiter plus 20, right? Big dig super slapper builds. I'm making realistic, achievable builds for everyone. And that's what I've always done. Smith of Katava. Yes, that's what I wanted to look into, because Smith of Katava is actually getting new skills. So I really want to... well, Warrior's getting generally new skills. We have Smith of Katava. It's technically getting, like, some nerf. Technically getting some buff. So I gotta look into that. Don't do solo self-found because PoE 1 and PoE 2 bounce around trait. I disagree, sir. This is my solo self-found characters. We also have the standard, what was it? Dawn of the Hunt. No, we had, who was it? We had my one invoker. This is most OP possible. This is a solo self-found invoker, level 90, killed the Arbiter, everything. It was called the God Project, where we went from 1 to 90, just with one character to do it, because why not? Yeah, solo self-found is easily possible. You don't need trading. Trading is just an excuse for being, I don't know, for wanting an easy power curve. Right? If you want to trade, sir, but don't tell people that trading is the way to have fun, because for me, it ruins the game. Trading ruins Path of Exile too. Trading ruins most games, to be honest. My humble opinion. What do you think about endgame now? Better, or are you not interested? I mean, after 85, I will always stop. Maybe to 90, Steven. But I don't see a reason to play much of the endgame. I mean, chasing levels is not fun. Killing all the pinnacle bosses once? Yes, absolutely. I love that they changed the endgame. So I can make a character from 1 to 85. I can kill all the pinnacle bosses. I can get my 4th Ascendancy. And I can be done with that character. Right? Smith overall nerf to be said. Exactly, let's look at it. The flowing metal notable passive now causes body armor to grant 35% of armor to also apply to elemental damage from hits. Right? Let me reread this. I need to check out flowing metal first. Where is flowing? What does flowing say? Flowing says body armor grants 5% maximum fire resistance. Okay. Now it says notable passive skill causes body armor to grant 35% of armor to also apply to elemental damage from hits. So if I take elemental damage from hits, then 35% of my armor is also going to protect me from that. If you don't have maxed out fire resistance, and if you're not using my maximum fire resistance is my other resistance kind of shebang bang, right? I mean, like, technically, Coal Stoker was useful, right? Modifiers to fire resistance, also ground, cold, lightning, and so on. But if we have, like, now just have my armor wholesale remove elemental damage, isn't that above? Or do I see that wrong? A note for the armor elemental thing. Armor applies before resistance. Well, Isis. So armor might apply before resistance. Yes. But that doesn't mean that this applies that way. Right? So I agree with you that yes, armor applies before resistance and then resistance applies. But who says that this node works this way? We got to see if it actually does work this way. So as Adashis is saying, it's like a fire shield worth 35% armor. Not a fire shield, it's an any shield, right? It says elemental damage, so anything. Technically, flowing metal should be above, right? Let's assume that flowing metal works the way how we would like it to. That it actually grants a meaningful reduction to elemental damage. Flowing metal, 35% of armor equals to elemental damage reduction. I mean, obviously this can't be tested right now yet, because it's not in the game yet. The leather binding's notable passive skill causes body armor to grant regenerate 3% of maximum life per second. Previously it was 5. Well, that's obviously sad. No one likes to regenerate less maximum life, especially since they nerfed. Did they not nerf strength? Oh no, that was for Giant's Blood. Yeah, if you use Giant's Blood, you get less life from strength. Smith's strength was how easily he overcapped resistances. Yes, we're in, but we would assume that, like, how do I say this now? If this thing doesn't work, you know, if this thing does not do anything meaningful, then you might as well put Smith of Katava in the trash. Because I fully agree with you. The reason to use Smith of Katava was easy resistances. Right? But if this now does nothing, if this is actually shit, then we might as well dump Smith and never talk about him again. So I would assume that GGG is not stupid, hopefully. and they made this calculate correctly. Caveat. Okay, so let's put a big star on this here. As maybe. The manifest weapon skill granted by living weapon notable passive no longer grants minions from this skill have 1% increased accurating per 3 decks Instead, minions from the skill have 1% increased attack speed for 3 decks. I still don't see how Manifest Weapon will ever be good. I'm sorry, right? I kind of wanted Living Weapon to be a cool thing. But I mean, having it have more attack speed is cool. So we're going to have more dex, more attack speed. We're going to have more strength, more damage. So technically it should make it powerful, but it's just not, right? I believe Jonathan said that these nodes also apply before resistance, armor, elemental. It's still going to be good against small hits, but not big hits. I mean, nothing is good against big hits anyways, right? Yeah, the 5% strength is better than this skill. Exactly. Like, I don't know what made them, like, still make Manifest Weapons, sadly. Sork? No, we haven't done Sork yet. So far, it's Blood Mage, Ritualist, Tactician, Amazon, and now Smith of Katava. And it's not looking good for the Smith of Katava. The small passive providing fire resistance now has a value of 8, previously 15. Why ever they would nerf this? And the small passive skill prior to living weapons grants 5% increased strength. Like, I mean, that's insane, right? As you said, like, so they, like, you get 5% more strength. So 5% more strength with small passive node. That's it. So if we're playing Smith of Katava right now, we have body armor grants 20% increased strength. Yes, ka-ching. We have 5% more strength from this node. And then the only thing we would have to hope for is that fire spell on hit would actually work. Because this is what I've been using. I've been experimenting with Heat of the Forge, right? And what Heat of the Forge did on this one was I was leaping around and I was creating solo orbs as I run around. And my solo orbs were giving me... What were they giving me? My solo orbs were giving me... Font of Rage, Font of Blood. Yeah. That's what I was doing. It was kind of fun, but it was also shit. So sadly, we're not getting any new fire skills, right? I was actually looking for this. Like, do we get something meaningful? I mean, we get one more skill, right? We get one cool more skill. That's like the Forge Hammer, but the Forge Hammer is a attack, right? The Forge Hammer is not a spell. Actually, was it mentioned if it was an attack or a spell? I think it counted as an attack. Someone have it for me? I'm not sure if that was in the trailer. Was that in the trailer? They showed things. Forge Hammer's a slam attack, yeah. Shit. Does PoE 2DB have the skill already? Did they add it? Because they screenshotted it out of the, I think it was shown in the video, right? Was Forge Hammer shown? Totally none. Deflect is good against big hits. Yes, that's true. So we had Ancestral Cry. Yeah, we're not getting any kind of like cool fire spell, huh? Well, with this, like, with these things in mind, I would say I have no reason to revisit Smith of Katava so far. I mean, the only advantage of Smith of Katava is now that he has 25% bonus strength, right? That's it. We're getting 20% bonus strength, and we're getting 5% bonus strength instead of the mid. That's it. Is more strength a good thing? More strength is always a good thing. You always want more, sir. But that doesn't change the fact that that's like the literal only thing the class would have. Okay, so Smith of Katava is getting a big minus. Even more than the Amazon, to be honest. Here, we're gonna get 3 minuses at this point. My main problem is, like, if I look at Smith of Katava, okay, let's everyone, like, listen, chat, everyone listen, look me in the eyes, okay? Here, I'm staring back. Enough, no kissing, just staring, okay? So if I look at Smith, it was cool to use the body armor. Yay. That made it quite exciting, right? Use the body armor. And then it was cool that you had the resistances. Living weapon was shit. Temper weapon was shit. And then fire spell on hit was interesting, but there's not a single fire spell on hit that it makes sense. So we have a whole Ascendancy that's just shit. This is more useless than Shaula. You know, Acolyte of Shaula that no one plays. I think it had like a 1% play rate. Smith of Katava's worse. Actually worse. How is that possible? I'm very, very not amused. Okay. Good. Someone said Warbringer. Yes, I've read the Warbringer things. The problem is I've not actually played Warbringer because Warbringer was never too worth it. So let's just check on what Warbringer has to bring to the table. Apart from war, obviously. Might be finally time to make one. Okay, I need to have the path of building out. Where is Warbringer? There he is. So we never played him, but that's what we have the path of building for. I know that Warbringer was being used for... I mean, there was the Warcry build, right? You were using it to get... the actual... was it for slam skills? For the armor break, right? Yeah. So we're using it for the armor break and the minus armor kind of sometimes people... as far as I understood. Infernalist, we'll get over Infernalist too. The Answered Call notable skill now also provides 1 to maximum number of summoned totems. I mean, that's great. You have Answered Call, trigger Ancestral Spirits when you summon a totem, ground skill Ancestral Spirits, and Ancestral Spirits were like popping out and... yeah. So now we have more totem life and we get another totem. So that's already great, right? Answered Call is +1 totem. That alone is fantastic. I love having 1 more totem. Especially since they also buffed they altered the mana cost of totems. That totems won't cost way too much in the end anymore. Right? Warbringer would be better than Titan for Fissure plus Hammer Throw. Yes, because of the Warcry, right? Since we get like here increased Warcry speed, Warcries explode corpses, and you got increased Warcry speed and then ignore Warcry cooldowns. Because you can throw your hammer, you can put down the fissures, and then if you Warcry on top of the Forge Hammer, it kind of went like boom, explosion. As far as I understood how the Forge Hammer works, right? Okay, the Ancestral Spirits granted by the Answered Call notable passive no longer grant minions from the skill have increased AC rating per dex. Instead, minions from the skill have increased attack speed. Okay, Ancestral Spirits attack faster. Cool. Ancestral Spirits attack faster. Dex stacking. The cooldown thing is useless for Forge Hammer. I don't know, can Forge Hammer only explode once or can it explode multiple times? The Great Wolf's Howl notable passive skill has been removed, and the Warcrawler's Bellow notable now also provides ignore Warcry cooldown. Oh, what? Oh, what? I mean, that seems useful for playing Warcry. So this one is gone, right? And you need only 2 points to get Warcry cooldowns ignored and Warcries explode corpses. That's pretty nifty. Or do I see that wrong? I mean, I never messed much with Warcry builds. I know there was a yelling build. I know there was one, right? So getting both, like, to 2-in-1 skateboard sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's great for clear, but alone having this combined is pretty fucking rad, right? So, Warcry nodes combined. Node for Warcries with one less Warcry speed Ascendancy node and Seismic Cry no longer having Warcry speed on quality. The Screamer build is a bit nerfed. I never found the Screamer build too interesting though, but it's just interesting to see that they're combining this. The Renly's training notable passive skill grants 35 base chance from equipped shields. Ah, yeah, they are nerfing block, right? As far as I understood. The Turtle Charm notable passive no longer grants 25 less block chance or can block damage from all hits without shield is not raised. Instead, it now provides you take 30% of damage from blocked hits and maximum block chance is 75%. Yeah. Did they not nerf maximum block chance from 90 to 75 or what was it? The new Warcry that seems OP, I've seen it, yes. Yeah, it's from 75 to 50. Thank you. Thank you. It's actually harsh. So now instead of only being able to go up to 50, I can go up to 75 with this one. Okay. I mean, I guess block chance being nerfed and this one being able to then bring block chance up is helpful. Stacks of Jade granted by Jade Heritage notable passive are no longer lost when taking physical damage from a hit. Jade Heritage says gain a stack of Jade every second. And then you get encased in Jade. And you lost those stacks of Jades if you were hit. Really? That seems so stupid. I mean, that you would actually lose them on hit. It's cool that you get them now. Ancestral spirits from the Answer Call notable passive have also been improved. They now appear faster and start using skills sooner. Whee! Ancestral Jade Hulk no longer charges. It instead uses a war cry to buff nearby allies to have 50% increased damage. Their leap sum also has been improved. The Ancestral Jade Hulk was... from where? That when you go encased in Jade? Or where does an Ancestral Jade Hulk come from? Each stack is 1% physical damage reduction. 10 stacks means 10 permanent physical damage reduction. You lost one stack on hit, I think. So what you're telling me is that if you don't lose stacks of Jade on hit anymore, you just have 10% permanent damage reduction? Ladies and gentlemen. I mean, okay. Unless you activate it, right? Yeah. Jade, permanent, 10% is damage reduction. Ancestral Jadecaster has had its spellcasting range increased. The Pinning Jade Storm has area of effect. Ancestral Warhorn's Horn buff is also an Ancestral Spirit's total aura has had its area of effect increased. So far from what it seems like, the Warbringer is only better than before, right? Seems like a wholesale buff to the Warbringer, making it more attractive than playing Smith of Katava or even the Titan. Did they do something to the Titan, or is the Titan still... They do nothing to the Titan? I thought they changed something about him. I know they changed the Titan's Grasp, right? The Giant's Blood, sorry. I know that the Giant's Blood Keystone passive now halves the amount of life granted by strength. So I know that one. Yeah, but the actual... So we can keep Titan. Titan is untouched. I think that's in itself is good. Yeah, like Titan is just good because like considering that we're getting 15 new clusters to the warrior area of the passive tree, and the Titan itself is being used a lot for bleed builds, right? Because if you go for a Amazon bleed build, so a Titan spear, you would get obviously all the bleed nodes here very easily, right? That's why we use then Titan to then get the 50% bonus to small passes, and then you would get like chance to bleed like more and more magnitude of bleed, because it's hard to get magnitude of bleed. But with the Titan having all of these 50% increase, you get like way more magnitude of bleed on top. So yeah. We don't have the final patch notes yet. Well, I would assume that this is more or less the final patch notes, right, Frozen Tundra? I mean, if the Titan was touched, we would have gotten it in here. Like, if it's not in, there's not going to be, oh yeah, by the way, we forgot to tell you that the Titan is completely nerfed. Why didn't we tell you earlier? Well, you know, too many words in these patch notes that are already like 4 billion words long. You're right, it could still happen, but I'm rather surprised if. You know? So suddenly out of the corner, Jonathan like, oh, by the way, I forgot. That might be something that GGG does actually. There's a chance. There's a chance. But something notably as a big nerf to an Ascendancy should really be in. Okay, let's look first at the Chronommancer, because Chronommancer seems minimal, but I actually didn't read through it first. I'm gonna open up the Chronommancer. And last time I played Chronommancer, it was a fireball, frost wall, blasting Chronommancer. And it was really fun to play. We get Stormweaver, Huntress, Infernalist, Invoker, Blood Mage, Chronomancer. There we go. The issue is they kind of nerfed the ice walls, and that makes me really sad. Because you had like the ice walls that you put up, right? And then you explode the ice walls that you put up, and it was like super fun here. Frost wall, and then you shoot like your fireballs into the frost walls and they break. But they nerfed that a frost wall has to be alive for 0.5 seconds or 1 second to actually do full damage. Let me teleport back to where I belong. Warbringer with Fissure Hammer Warcry. I think everyone wants to try the Throne Hammer. I'm also very much going towards it. Does anyone remember where the video clip was in with the Fire Hammer? I just know that the Fire Hammer is in the patch notes, like for the people that haven't seen it. I just, for the love of God, can't remember in which video clip the actual hammer was. Does anyone know that off the top of their head? Well, that was the Q&A. Have it. Yeah, there was a clip in the showcase. I know you have the Forge Hammer in here when it comes down to the new skills, right? New feature Sprint was here, new support gems. And then we had skill changes. And there was obviously here the Forge Hammer. So he throws that hammer, right? And then he war cries and it goes out and it goes out and goes out. This one. Thank you very much, Udi. Thank you very much, Nocturnus. Let's see. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for finding it so quick. Skill changes. Do we have the... there it is. And that was fire. But also now your frost wall can make things go freezy, right? But I wanted to have the Throne Hammer completely clack through this. Boring. We want to see a cool hammer. 1815. Oh, wow. I was so far. Thank you. 1815. I could have looked forever. So we get our good old Huntress that no one... Like, I find in these clip showcases, right? No one would play the Huntress like this. So this is the hammer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. You throw it. Oh, no, that was fissure, right? This is just fissure, and then more fissures. And we like that. But that's volcanic fissure, obviously. Well, what did they do to volcanic fissure, by the way? That was changed. I have to read over because I know they did something to fissure, but I completely forget what they did to fissure. Here, that's the hammer, so you can throw it, and it has like an impact kabam, right? Where reading converts 30% of physical damage to fire damage. While dual wielding, both weapons hit with 30% less damage. Impact radius is 1.8 meters. Hammer duration is 12 seconds. And cooldown does not recover while hammer is lodged. Then you can pull the hammer back, Thor style, if you like to. So you could also just throw hammers and call them back. Like, right? which I find, like alone this. And then you can war cry to have it explode. Do they ever show the fissures here? They never show it, right? Oh, you absolute twats. Why did you never show that to me? I mean, I know the fissures are triggered by that, but... Oh, by the way, if you then slam into the fissures get triggered too by the slam attacks, correct? Okay, fissure itself has 3 branches now. That's what you're saying, right? So fissure itself is getting 3 branches. And then we got the... Did they do something to Molten Blast too? Okay, the fissures are activated by Warcry, but only detonate by slams after that. So we get a Warcry it to activate the fissures, and then we're going to slam the fissures to have them pulse. I get it. I mean, I'm going to be happy if we can finally play Molten Blast 2 more. So we're going to have to read into this a little bit more. What do the patch notes say? They have the words in it, though, for, like, Chronommancer's, like, a thing. So what do we have with fissure? Fissure. We're not looking for those abyssal fissures, right? We're looking for fissure. So first we had the Forge Hammer, which had the hammer. Then a hurl fire hammer that slams into the ground. Right? While the hammer is lodged in the ground, reusing this skill recalls the hammer and resets the skill's cooldown. Using a war cry near the lodged hammer causes it to shatter. Yeah, sure, I get that. Volcanic fissure. Okay, now creates 2 branches that emerge from either side of the main fissure. The length of the fissure is now affected by area modifiers. Okay, the more area I have, the longer the fissures. It has a minimum gem level of 7, previously 9. It has 80% physical damage converted to fire damage. It was 60. And now deals of attack damage at gem level 9 to 20. It was 163. Aftershocks cannot trigger more than once every 0.2 seconds. Okay. Quality now provides 20% chance to cause an aftershock. And if I would cause aftershocks, I would do more fissures, right? I would do fissure. Fissure itself is a slam attack or not? Sorry, we get Chronomancer in a second. I liked fissure always, so I will have to look into this. Like, it seems very cute to me, right? Minions always hit with attacks is very cute, as it should be, in my humble opinion. Where's Volcanic Fissure? It is a slam attack itself. If I fissure into my fissures, does my fissure trigger my fissure? No? You're gonna use a different slam attack, right, to trigger the fissure. I get that. Provides cause an aftershock instead of 0.4 fissure. Allied slam attacks now trigger volcanic fissure. Okay. Retriggers are now treated as aftershocks and will scale with aftershock specific effects. Uh-huh. So if I retrigger a fissure and I have a chance for aftershocks to make more aftershocks, that would apply. If I have aftershocks deal X more damage, that would apply to then the aftershocks, right? Yeah. But that would buff the Titan, wouldn't it? Yeah, as you say. Because the Titan has, where was it? Blah, we had chest, passive skills. 20%, 25% for slam skills you use yourself to cause aftershocks. So, like, this would boost the fissure itself to actually aftershock, potentially. Then slam skills have an increased area of effect that would make fissures longer already. Slam skills have area of effect, would make fissure skills longer. And then every second slam skill you use yourself is ancestrally boosted. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt. Look for Ancestral Cry. Oh, I've seen Ancestral Cry. Don't worry. I was just looking at Fissure. I wanted to know more Fissure-related stuff. Which other skill do I wanted to look at? It was Fissure, and it was Molten Blast, because they did something to Molten Blast. Molten Blast now steps backwards instead of forwards if you use while moving in the opposite direction to where you were targeting or attacking in place. It now inflicts 200% more flammability and has 100% more ignite duration. The secondary projectile count can no longer be modified. Nah, not too excited. Not too excited. I mean, we'll definitely mess with fissures at this point. I have no choice. Because Fissure just looks too cool, right? How can we not want to play like a Fissure-related warrior that really goes out and then fissures and then more fissures and then like this. This is the moment you want, right, Chad? Yeah, fissures with aftershocks into fissures with aftershocks. Is Monk going to be a meme build? No, Monk is definitely not going to be a meme build. Monk Unarmed is actually going to be a real existing build. So we get the Forge Hammer, and yes, what chat said is that on top of Forge Hammer, like wait, I can go for Forge Hammer here. We get the Ancestral Cry. Perform a war cry using glory. That means we gotta build up glory first, gained by igniting enemies to turn you into an embodiment of Kayan. So we gotta ignite enemies, which can be done with a fissure, I guess, right? While embodying Kayan, your footsteps trigger volcanic stabs, melee strikes and slams are ancestrally boosted, and your melee attacks trigger volcanic eruption. Which means that if we turn this cry on and we get that Forge Hammer into the ground and there's volcanic fissures everywhere, suddenly it's going to be like, whoa. Yeah, so you don't need the Titan and the ancestrally boosted node. I agree, Udi. But if it's not Titan, who's it then going to be? Right? I mean, Titan still has the undeniable advantage of having the hulking form. And that's the reason why we're playing Titan. And obviously, Earthbreaker could have your fissures fissure more. But would that want to make you play the Warbringer? Yeah, I know that Warbringer can break armor with all damage. I understand. I understand, he says. And there's the support for fire explosion on armor break. I understand that too. Warbringer on the city on Warcry, would that be better? But we only need one Warcry, so I don't see where we would need more Warcries. Because you're going to throw one hammer in Warcry and everything should be dead, right? I mean, it's not like that we hammer, Warcry, hammer, Warcry, hammer, Warcry in the second tag. It's like hammer, Warcry, everything dead. Then hammer, Warcry after, like, right? And next second, everything dead again. I guess the main reason to use Warbringer is to go for the 75 block and because it's new. There's a new notable which makes your armor break apply to increased fire damage. What is it called? Finding that one is going to be something. Wait, I'm just going to just look for notable. Is there notable? Aftershock Totem, Inferno Cry, Volcanic Fissure, and Warcry be great if so. That's what I wanted to know. Can the Aftershock Totem trigger the Volcanic Fissures? Some stuff was leaked. Okay, that's good to know. Some stuff was leaked. Well, I don't know about leaked stuff. I haven't looked into that. What we're assuming right now is that we want to play a Warbringer Fissure build. Yeah, it says allies trigger fissure now. I understood that. So and totems are allies. So if allies trigger allied slams now trigger volcanic fissure. So technically, if you use aftershock totems, shockwave totems, they should be able to trigger volcanic fissures. Here's the support gems leaked. Check. Well, that's too big of a list to go through. And I'll trust leaks as far as, like, my nose is long, which is pretty long, so forbid. Yeah, fissure is definitely on my list as one thing I'm the most interested in. It's finally living the fire fantasy of Titan that I could never live. I was sad. I just wanted to do that. Okay, we got Chronommancer. Yes, that's what we wanted to check out, right, ladies and gentlemen? Let's log over to Chronommancer. By the way, hi, thank you for all being here. Pleasure to meet you all. As you can see, we play every single class, every single Ascendancy. We do everything, and then a little bit more. That's why we're checking up on all of this, to know what we would like to play or not. Okay, Chronomancer. The Flood of Echoes notable passive has been renamed to Inevitability. It no longer grants you the Unleash skill. It instead now grants a new skill, Inevitable Agony, which curses all targets in the area after a short delay, causing a portion of damage they take from hits to be stored in the curse debuff. When the debuff duration expires, they take that stored damage again all at once. I need to look at Flood of Echoes before I get Apex Moment, Quicksand. Flood of Echoes was Grand Skill Unleash, and Unleash was infuse yourself with temporal magic for short duration, empowering the next spell you cast to repeat multiple times. Can empower channeling skills or skills with a cooldown. Oh yeah, yeah. We were using that for our ice wall shenanigans and for our fireballs. Yes. So no more spell repeats. It does seem a bit broken. Does it seem a bit broken? So we're going to do a lot of damage to the enemy. And then we're going to curse them. They're going to take a lot of damage they have taken into the curse. And then the curse goes boom again. Which means it's just bonus damage. And if we increase the curse duration, then more damage they would take. Correct? So the longer the curse is on them, the longer or the more damage they'll take later, all is one. And if it's dealing chaos damage, a Black Flame Keystone will ignite with it. I mean, even from a base standpoint, without thinking further about it, it sounds fun. Okay. So, Blood Echoes. Go for Chronomancer. No more Unleash. Instead, Agony Curse or bonus stored damage. Well, it doesn't sound too horrible. It doesn't sound too hot as well. It's like a little bit of both. The Quicksand Hourglass notable passive no longer grants every 10 seconds gain 50% more cast speed for 5 seconds. Instead, it now grants Sands of Time, which grants 60% cast speed, scaling down to 1% over 10 seconds, at which point it will then scale back up to 60%. Sands of Time also grants 1% increased area of effect, scaling up to 60% over 10 seconds, at which point it will then scale back down to 1%. No. Just no. I mean, like it's not terrible, but it's also just like big sigh, right? Yes, sure, it fits the Chronommancer. Like, it really fits the Chronommancer. According to the wording it's together, well, one starts at 60, the other start at 1. So as far as I understand, they meet at 30, right? So if you have 30% cast speed, you have 30% area of effect. If it then goes down to 1% attack speed, you have 60% area. Then it goes back up. So it's going to be 20-40, 40-20, 30-30, 10-50, 50-10. That's as far as I understood now how the quicksand hourglass works. So like an actual hourglass, right? That turns around and either you have like 10% area, 50% attack speed, 50% area, 10% attack speed. That's what I understood. But I'll say, like, it just doesn't sound great. Like, 1 to 60% area and attack speed scaling up and down. Meh. I mean, right now that's a pretty neutral math for me. Sure, the bonus damage curse sounds interesting, but the quicksand hourglass notable just going down just doesn't sound like anything I'm even remotely interested in. I mean, you see, I have never skilled into this because I was playing a recoup Chronomancer, right? I was using recoup to get like infinite life, shebang bangs. That was good. I never messed around with quicksand. Have you gone through Monk? Nope, we're still doing Monk. See that, like, this is the document, ladies and gentlemen. The document so far. So we've had Amazon, we've had Tactician, Blood Mage, Ritualist, and Smith of Katava, Warbringer, Titan, Chronomancer. We can go over Stormweaver. People have been hounding me that Stormweaver is cool now, and I need to talk about Stormweaver, and Pony, have you talked about Stormweaver yet? So let's talk about Stormweaver, I guess. What does it do? Well, we all know that Stormweaver has already been the #1 choice over Lich, over... not over Lich, over the Chronommancer by Fire and Wine. Yeah, the most fun I've had playing Spark, honestly, my first Stormweaver is still Spark. Hasn't changed. Always been Firewall Spark, right? Put out orbs, do some frozen ice, right? Have some fun. Like, hasn't changed. Has always been fun, has always been enjoyable. Okay, what do we have? The Elemental Storm skill granted by Tempest Caller notable passive has had its cooldown lowered to 3 seconds at all levels. Okay, what's Elemental Storm? I'm saying that because I've obviously never used Elemental Storm. Where's Elemental Storm? So that was here. Ground skill, Elemental Storm. Trigger Elemental Storms on critical hit with spells. And Elemental Storm was deal fire damage, cannot deal critical hits, deals damage every second. Storm radius is storm duration. Enemies inside the storm are hindered. And the storm did also do lightning and cold. I think I've seen an Elemental Storm build, but I'm not entirely sure if I remember. All Ascendancies buffed. Oh no. No. Definitely not. So creates a stationary fire cold lightning storm at a target location for a duration based on the highest elemental damage type for the hit that triggered the storm. Hits which do not deal elemental damage will not trigger the storm. So you could just trigger a ton of elemental storm shebang bang. Yeah. Trigger an elemental storm on critical hit with spells. I mean, it does sound cute, especially getting like a lower cooldown so you can do it more. But I've never messed with elemental storm, so I have no big opinion on this one being good or bad. But it's in there. Right, elemental storm down to 3-second CD from 5. A Rain Dancer notable passive has been renamed to Multiplying Squalls and no longer provides 150% more cooldown recovery rate for Elemental Storm. Instead, it now provides +1 to the limit of +1 to limit for elemental skills. Does that count for everything? For orbs too? I mean, right now it says Elemental Storm has more cooldown recovery rate. Yes, increased critical hit chance for spells. Increased critical hit chance for spells. So I would assume that counts for everything. So you get more orbs. You get another Elemental Storm plus. I guess that's kind of cute. Down to 3 seconds cooldown, but you don't have the cooldown recovery rate, so it's almost no change. Kind of feels like it, right? I mean, I guess I like the elemental skills bonus. Yeah, that's +1 to elemental skills is kind of nice. What was it? Rain Dancer. Let's do +1 limit elemental skills. Orbs. Woo. I understand +1 to limit. I understand what +1 to limit means. Don't worry. I have brain. I understood. The Force of Will notable passive skill no longer grants 1% increased effect of Arcane Surge on your 25 maximum mana. Instead, it now grants 20% of damage is taken from mana before life and 20% increased magnitude of Arcane Surge on you per 10% missing mana. Sounds good. I like that. I mean, you get just free survival, right? Yeah, magnitude is good. It makes your Arcane Surge give you more cast speed and more mana regeneration rate, right? And that by a magnitude. Sorry, had a moment there. So the more I cast, the more I cast, the faster I cast. So the more I cast, the more I cast, the more mana I use. The faster I cast, the more mana regeneration I get. I saw someone talk about a 0 mana build for that for much damage. That's already thinking too fast, Ryan. Like, so how do I put this now? There are crazy ways how to absolutely max out these effects. My question is mostly, can I use this as a normal person that's playing through the game, right? So if I decide to play Stormweaver and I want to level from level 1 to 85, do these things like the +1 to elemental limits, does the more magnitude, right? Is this something that will, as a normal player, have a actual impact on what I do? And not only as someone who goes like, right? The super blasters. And I think that makes sense. So Force of Will is 20% damage taken from mana plus Surge magnitude for missing mana. Also, Maddie, good to see you there, brother. I'm very pressure. I appreciate it. Exactly, Ryan. Because the question is not how can you break the game. Because someone like you have all these crazy Path of Exile 2 theory crafters who will definitely break the game with this kind of stuff. And I'll watch that video and I'm like, wow, if I had these 4 unique items, I could do the same. And then I'm going to look into my inventory. I'm going to be like, I don't have these 4 unique items or 50 divines to buy them. Well, let's forget about this build. Right? It's like, oh, I have this very cheap, overpowered build for you. You only need 100 divines to play it. Checks my balance. 50 exalted. Well, good luck with that one. Will there be a mortar-focused expo build? Ian, yes. We looked at the Tactician, and I will definitely play Tactician with cannons ready, with a mortar, and potentially I will try out a full Ballista Tactician as well to see how well it works. The problem is that Cannons Ready requires you to shoot skills to have your totems shoot skills, and that usually makes your totems shoot slower. That being said, there might be a way to have like a full grenade madness happening where you throw grenades and your Mortar totem throws grenades and we're all throwing grenades. Yeah, hopefully. So that's in the list. Good. Where were we stuck? Force of Will. Sorry, I got derailed a bit. The Scouring Wind's notable passive has been renamed to Storm's Recollection and no longer grants exposure you inflict lowers affected resistances by an additional 12%. Instead, it now grants remnants you create reappear once 3 seconds after being collected. With remnants, we're talking about these elemental infusions you can make now, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we got here, what was it called? Elemental Infusion. Added a new mechanic called Elemental Infusions that many elemental spells interact with. Some skills create infusions of a spell element as remnants on the ground, which can be picked up to grant you the infusion. Other skills can consume infusions of a specific type to grant additional bonuses depending on the skill. Some skills consume infusions that match the skill elemental types, while others have cross-elemental infusions. So that means that our Stormweaver has a skill that gives us now... The problem I have with this is 3 seconds after being collected. So I create a remnant, and then 1, 2, 3 seconds later, I can collect it again. And I have to walk over it again, right? I guess in a boss fight, sure. But we'll assume that later you take, like, what, 10 seconds for a boss fight, 20 seconds for a boss fight? Okay, it's fine. You know what? It's fine. It's not crazy. It's not, wow, what the fuck? This is the best build in the world. But it's fine. Yeah, fine. Why not? I mean, we're Scouring Wind right now. It's on the side. You get increased elemental damage. You get double remnants. Why not? Scouring Wind. Equals to infusion. Remnants appear again after 3 seconds. It's like making Deadeye collect remnants to get an extra frenzy charge. Hey, so... if you cast at a boss, and let's assume that boss fight is 30 seconds. So I'm casting at a boss, I'm picking up my infusion remnant, I do like a super blast, and then I walk over it again, and then I do it again, and then I walk over it again. It's probably not the most smooth gameplay loop to have to walk over them, but in Path of Exile, you're anyways moving, you're evading boss attacks, right? We're talking about a normal player, we're not talking about, like, fighting Zesh +4 and nuking him in 10 seconds. Like, it seems for normal people a good thing. Probably not for Ultra Blasters. Here's a support gem which can collect automatically. I remember something about that Art ZD, which makes this definitely more appealing. But then you also have to play that support on every single skill, I guess, right? That you or you have to play that support that you actually collect them. About the Tactician node, you don't have to shoot the grenades for your Cannon Nocturnus. Well, the Tactician node says that you have to attack for your totems to attack. The Heart of the Storm notable passive skill has been renamed to Refracted Infusion and no longer grants 40% of elemental damage taken recouped as energy shield. Instead, it now provides 50% chance when collecting an elemental infusion to gain another different elemental infusion. I can see where obviously with that now, Refracted Infusion and the double appearance, it makes more sense to play the double appearance in that case. But that also means that 4 points are gone, right? Heart of Storm is now, what was it called? Refracted Infusion for bonus infusion. So you make infusions to pick up infusions, to get more infusions, to retrigger infusions, to get more infusions, to make infusions, to then retrigger infusions, to get more infusions. Yeah, sure. I could see where this leads to an interesting loop. The first cannon attack in the clip, it shoots on its own. Yeah, it might shoot on its own without the cannons ready. Nocturnus, no, you misunderstand me. Let me see the mortar totem. Is there the mortar totem in, actually, because I haven't seen it? So we have the mortar cannon. Okay, so let me see. Raise a cannon totem which uses socketed grenade skills which significantly improve cooldown recovery rate. Totem duration is 8 seconds. Limit is 1 totem. Totems gain amount of resistance and support. So we're going to put that in. By the way, before I say something, there was a word about you cannot put multiple skills inside things inside your skill page anymore unless it's the socketed skills, right? So I can still socket explosive grenade, but I can use explosive grenade. But I can't use 2 different levels of explosive grenades anymore. Correct? So now you're going to make a totem. Yes. And the totem shoots grenades. Oh, it looks so cute. So what I'm talking about is, just so you understand. Let's go out of the Chronommancer, the Stormweaver quickly. For the Tactician, the Mortar totem itself is not created by Cannons Ready. Okay? What Cannons Ready does, this one will give you 1 more totem now. Okay? And it says skill used by totems have 30% more skill speed. Which means, like, cool. But totems only use skills when you fire an attack projectile. So I have to do this to have my totems shoot. Okay? Yeah? I need to see this skill again for a second, by the way, because I ignored something there. Oh, because I missed something. Oh, it says 78, cost is 78 mana. That's fine. And it doesn't need much strength and doesn't need much dex. Raise a cannon totem, which uses socketed grenade skills, which significantly improve cooldown recovery rate. Yeah, sure. Can you use the passive node for unlimited totems? The passive node here just gives +1 totem now at this point. Okay? So you could summon 2 mortar totems. Like, I could be here in this tree without taking a single totem node, right? This is the interesting part. I don't have to go over here. I don't have to take a single totem node. Okay? I could just summon the mortar totem like that. Just 2. Boom. With this. But I could also spam mortar totems, and then I could invest in attack speed and only use like 2 grenade skills or so that I walk into an opponent, I summon like 1, 2, 3, right? Of my mortar totems, and then I go bop, bop, bop. Or I would actually go for crossbow shots and use like, and on every crossbow shot have them go out. I mean, this would obviously require me to use a skill that has like a lot of shots going on, but then you go like mortar totem, and then like, you go bop, 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 bop. Would this work with rapid fire? Well, so the skill itself says totems only use skills when you fire an attack projectile. Now, what I didn't what I'm not entirely sure about is when it says attack projectile, right? As you question, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So whenever you fire an attack projectile, not the amount, so this is not like 4, so it doesn't attack 4 times. I just fire attack projectiles at this point. So what you're saying is now, what if, in this case, you would be using rapid fire? Or what if we use high velocity rounds and it goes like, not high velocity rounds, rapid shot, yeah. You use rapid shot and you build it up and then you go like bop, 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 bop. Does it also make your totem go bop, 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 bop? Do they have the same attack speed as you? No, they don't, Send. If you make totems with cannons ready, do they have the same attack speed as you? No. They only attack if you attack, but if they don't have an attack ready, they won't attack, okay? So they will still attack with the attack speed that is attack speeding, and their attack speed nowadays is bound actually to your weapon, right? But still, though, like, only if they have an attack lined up will they attack at the moment. So you can't force them to attack, kind of. Like, right? It's not like I attack, they attack. It's like, if I attack, they would attack. Probably gas attack mortars with explosive shot is the way. See, that's the interesting part. Maybe explosive grenade mortars with gas grenade is the way. Because what if I now do gas grenades and my mortars would do explosive grenades automatically? So I summon mortars, right? And I go for gas grenades, and they, like, whenever I shoot a gas grenade, they shoot explosive grenades. Right? That means I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to just put out the gas grenades, and they're going to put the explosive grenades, and then we just work in tandem together. And let's not forget that there was these really cool thingies. So we get a, like, here, allies in your presence gain added attack damage equal to 25% of your main hand weapons damage. So the watch how you do it also buffs the damage of your totems. So you're going to summon totems, and then you're going to have them in your presence, and, like, they have fond of rage anyways, so they're fond of raging each other. But also, if they're in your presence, they do get the bonus damage. And yeah, that's cool. Will that be crazy? I don't know. But I get a mortar cannon totem. I don't care if that will be crazy. What I'm asking myself is, so, like, if blah 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 blah. Let's. I need to get the skill again. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's so hard to get the skill. So let me make a screenshot of this one quickly, so I don't have to look it in. So what I'm asking myself is, since the damage of totems is now. Since the damage of totems is now down to your damage, right? So in case we missed this, I assume Mortar Cannon does the damage of the grenade skill in it. Wait, Mortar Cannon is actually different. So Mortar Cannon does the skill that does the damage of the grenade in it. That means that the Mortar Cannon's damage is only determined by all the grenade stuff that we're having, right? Like more grenade things. And also, if you have, like, grenade do, here, the grenade damage stuff and so on, and the grenades have a chance to activate twice, that should all influence the damage from there, right? And generally, like, projectile damage should also influence that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's definitely a fun thought there. So generally, Stormweaver, yes, I can feel Stormweaver also being a plus with all the buffs I have seen to general spell stuff, right? Note for Mortar Cannon, Pony. Description said it fires with significantly increased cooldown recovery rate. This might mean that Mortar Cannon scales with CDR, not skill speed or attack speed. That is correct. What Mortar Cannon scales with is just being able to actually shoot grenades. Because as you can see, like, if you shoot the grenade, I can't shoot more grenades. Right? It's over. I can do this. That's it. I can't shoot more grenades. So what I assume is that a Mortar has just better or faster shooty pooty. Now what I'm asking myself is, as you say, does that say fuck Tactician? Okay, listen, chat. Are we gonna say fuck Tactician and maybe do a Warbringer? And maybe do a Warbringer with Mortar totems? Because if Warbringer gives us +1 to totems as well, and Warbringer is anyways on the left side all the totem related nodes, right? Might I be better off than just going for a Warbringer totem build? Because Warbringer gives me the totem placement speed, right? The placement range. It gives me the more cast speed and attacks used by totems have increased attack speed. Does that actually influence the cooldown recovery rate? Or am I forced, as you say, to still go over here then, but because I have to still pick up the grenade stuff anyways, right? I need the reduced detonation time. I need the grenade skills to have cooldown use. I need the, here, grenade skills fire additional projectiles, right? I need that as well. So I kind of need the totem stuff, but I also need the grenade stuff. But I also need the projectile damage. And also, does totem damage, in this case then, because that's the big question, does totem damage influence the damage of the grenades or not? Because the totem is not doing the damage. The grenades are doing the damage out of the totem. So would 15% totem damage affect the damage out of the mortar totem or not? Right? And the tree is going to be wider as well. You can only place one cannon. No, it says limit one totem. But if you get more totem limits, then you can put more totems down. We need the new passive skill tree. Yes, I do hope that I get more totem nodes also on this side, so I don't have to do crazy traveling like this to even remotely get my things. When will we get the updated skill tree on release? I don't think we will see the updated skill tree in any way beforehand. We will see that on release. I mean, I can't decide which one I want to play in terms of like the Mortar Totem. I will definitely make something with Mortar Totem, but maybe not on day one. Because let's be fair, there's a lot of questions, right, Chad? There's a lot of questions about this Mortar Totem stuff. So what I might do is I start with something safe, like playing a Warbringer and also going for the fissure playstyle. Because the fissure playstyle is guaranteed to work. You make fissures, you slam fissures, and fissure do fissure stuff. Cool. Awesome. New supports, new fire, great. And then after I fissured around and had a lot of fun with fissure, I can say, wait, now that I understand the game better and I've seen how some things work and I've seen the new supports, I will try out something else. But yeah, might not be a day one thing to do. Might be a day after thing to do. Haven't decided yet. Okay, we got Chronommancer, Lich, Infernalist, Blood Mage. We have Blood Mage covered. Acolyte of Shaula. I keep that for last because that's the most interesting. We have Deadeye. Deadeye is getting, like, wholesale cooler as far as I understood. Because of the nerf to marks. So in case you missed it, marks cannot cast on crit anymore. Okay, chat? And marks were used in many builds. I mean, there was like, you were using frost marks on Monk too, to, like, do more frost damage and have, like, more effects pop up. So, marks in general can't be cast on anymore. There are no spells. Right? That's sad. That's like, what the fuck? That happened. But our good old Deadeye gets some interesting stuff. So we have the Avidity notable passive. No longer grants 30% chance to gain maximum frenzy charges when you gain a frenzy charge. Instead, it says a 50% chance to gain an additional frenzy charge when you gain a frenzy charge. I was asking myself if that's actually not better. I mean, there's anyways not many frenzy charge builds out there, right? So there's some frenzy charge builds, but there's not like, wow, frenzy charge builds. But isn't Avidity just generally, like, with a 50% chance to always get a bonus charge? Is that not just better instead of getting max? How much did you really rely on that max? I mean, I always enjoyed getting, like, one more already enough. So Avidity is now 50% chance for +1 frenzy. We got the called shots notable passive no longer lets you apply an additional mark, right? So we got called shots. That was here. You can apply an additional mark and increase the effect of your mark skills. Now it says, instead it causes your projectiles to chain to marked enemies and grants a new called shots meta skill that repeatedly marks enemies near you, bypassing your mark limit. Meta skills are skills that are triggered by energy buildup, right? That was the only thing I stumbled up and over. But as I understand, we are creating energy. We're going to be marking enemies repeatedly near us, and it can bypass mark limit. So that's actually insane, because now no one else can bypass the mark limit, only that I can. Called shots equals to new meta skill that repetitively marks close enemies without a mark limit. Correct? And then the Eagle Eye's notable passive no longer removes the distance-based accuracy penalty. Instead, it applies 20 stacks of critical weakness to enemies when you consume a mark on them. And I think that's actually insane. Right? Eagle Eye equals to mark removal gives 20 stacks of critical weakness. Pretty insane. By the way, Pony, Ancestral Warrior Totems use socketed slam skills. I haven't forgotten Nieces. Forge Hammer and Volcanic Fissure are both slams. What I'm asking myself about the slam build is, about the fissure build is, if you want to mess with totems, or if you just keep slamming into your own slams instead. Like, right? Is it better to, like, invest into totems and have them slam out? Because that means I have to fissure, totem, fissure, totem, fissure, totem, or do you just fissure, slam, 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 fissure, slam, 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 slam? What's the better playstyle on the fissure slam thingy? What's going to be more interesting? Are you going to fissure and then stampede through, right? Right, at this point, like, Deadeye is, that's just a wholesale plus, because being able to interact with marks and having, like, marks happen automatically, because that's the cool thing, right? You get a meta skill that repeatedly marks enemies near you. So you exist, you do your ranger stuff, whatever it is, and you get mark, and then you can use marks for whatever you're doing. I'm done with Deadeye. I am not interested to use Deadeye as my first thing, right? So Deadeye is probably going to be the class that's going to be used by a lot of tryhards to be tryharding something with mark skills. As far as I understand. But if you actually go through the internet right now and you enter Path of Exile 2 Deadeye, you're gonna have this. So PoE 2 Deadeye builds will take over. Deadeye is going to be the strongest Ascendancy in 03. Deadeye is insane. We got like here, like like, you know, Deadeye. Deadeye. Okay, so that's a bait from Keltoric because he's only talking about thorns. But yeah, Deadeye is everywhere. People are like, woo, Deadeye. So what we have, we got Deadeye is being wholesale buffed, and we like that. Also, there's the new deflect mechanic, in case you missed about it. So we get deflect now. Is there an explanation for deflect in general? There was no deflect explanation in general, right? But we have deflect. I'm gonna play Holopalm Monk. I'm really interested in Holopalm myself. I need to look into that notable myself because I haven't actually like read too deep into it. But there's a whole theory craft. Oops, Evoker doesn't get pluses right now. There's a whole theory craft about unarmed builds already that I haven't even messed with. So yeah. What do we have for the Invoker? And also, didn't Invoker get nerfed at the same time? Because Invoker is obviously the... Invoker's attacking and Invoker's doing freezing. But chill buildup or freeze buildup below 30% is not even considered. Correct? So that's actually kind of sad. But was it below 15 or 30%? Ah, thank you for finding the thing. Deflection is a new mechanic for dexterity-based characters in patch 03, which can reduce the damage taken for all hits, including area of effect attacks and spell, by a minimum of 40% and potentially more with investment. This also affects the ailments they inflict. Similar to evasion, the exact chance to deflect also depends on the attacker's accuracy. Chance to deflect is a separate stat from evasion and is rolled in addition to evasion, making it a particularly potent defensive layer. Good. Now, what does Invoker do? The elemental expression skill granted by the scatter them to the wind's notable passive skill now deals 8 to 244 fire damage with a fiery explosion at gem level 1 to 20. I have to say I never used elemental expression. I have thunder my enemies, right? Critical hits ignore negative enemy monster elemental resistance. I literally never used elemental expression. Saint, rest well, brother. So the only thing I can say is that deals less damage now, or does it deal more damage? It now deals 244 to 366. It was 288, 720 cold damage with the ice wave. Oh, they actually made it do more damage? That's a lot more damage. Okay, cool. Elemental expression. Let me read through this. Okay, so create a fiery explosion, an arcane bolt of lightning, or an ice wave of projectiles. The chance for an explosion is proportionally to your strength, for a bolt proportionally to your dex, and for a wave proportional to your int. And they all used to do damage. Okay, I understand. I understand. So this is a skill you can use. Trigger elemental expression on melee critical hits. So I have to do melee critical hits to trigger elemental expression. Yeah. So I need to have probably a lot of frost scaling and then try to take a lot of intelligence, or I have to try to get the bolt of lightning with a lot of dexterity. Yeah. Elemental expression. Damage buff? It's probably for an unarmed monk, though, because if it says trigger elemental expression on a melee attack, right? Melee critical hit. And we're now buffing unarmed with the unarmed node. Then that's what they want you to play, right? So that's what they want you to play. Where's the unarmed notable? Added a new keystone passive to the northwest of the monk starting location, Hollow Palm Technique. This keystone allows you to use quarterstaff attacks while unarmed and grants those attacks additional benefits while used unarmed. So you can not use a quarterstaff, but you can use quarterstaff attacks as if you had a quarterstaff, but while you then don't have a quarterstaff, everything that is unarmed is going to buff you, right? So we get unarmed attack speed. You can get like everything unarmed bonus, and we're getting probably more unarmed nodes as well. Unarmed only gets 5% base crit chance though. Hey, they're adding more passives, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of unarmed shit happening down the line. Most likely. I'm personally not too hot on unarmed stuff. I will want to try it down the line because why not? Right? So generally speaking, we get an elemental expression buff. So that's already good. And then we get the meditate skill granted by faith is a choice. Notable passive skill has a cooldown of 751 at gem levels 1 to 20. Meditate now provides 100% more energy shield recharge rate at gem levels 1 to 20. Previously it was 0 to 28%. Did I ever use meditate? I never used meditate. Channel to recharge energy shield and allow the recharge to overflow. Channeling ends when you take damage or your energy is doubled. But why? I'm like, just, but why? Am I missing something? They're like, I don't understand what that skill is for in Monk. After they took out Grim Feast, Meditate became more used. You're saying that, but I took my Grim Feast Monk, right? Same build. I pretty much added a lot of Frost nodes to it. Because that like, I added some Freeze build-up nodes because I was missing Freeze build-up after the changes. Like here, up here, I went for more Freeze build-up. And it kept performing admirably. Like, still using case inoculation, still only having, like, my 4,000 energy shield, right? And I was still not dying. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about doing breaches with, like, plus whatever and having the full breach tree maxed out in the Atlas and what, like, blah, right? But still, the monk was just going absolutely mental. And I was just drinking potions to get energy shield. And that's it. So I don't know. Guess meditate is better now. Meditate is better now. Potential unarmed build fun. I guess that's a mild buff to Invoker. So I guess a mild buff. We're gonna do Acolyte of Shaula. Let's look at Stormweaver Lich. Lich. It's probably the one I know the least about. Lich has been always just passively glanced over. It was okay to look at, but it wasn't like too crazy. I think what did my Lich build go up to? Wasn't my Lich build a Frost Mages? No, my Lich made it to level 59. That was Bone Cage build. I have another Lich. We had like a Bleed Bone Cage Lich, which was actually really fun to play. What did I do with this? Oh yeah, he was still leveling. This one was still leveling. This one was an experiment. We were doing the rake leveling with this, right? So look at the equipment. So this was the Iron Hat Spear together with the Great Helm and all the items that give bonus strength. Yeah, there's a little experiment. How quick could you level if you just throw a lot of shit at the fan and see if it actually does work, right? That was just me doing a little experiment on the side. Random side note, it does work and it's pretty good. But it doesn't work in the next patch anymore, sadly. Okay, what changed for the Lich? We got the Dominion over Flash notable passive has been renamed to Incessant Cacophony, and it now grants curses that have infinite duration instead of curses can affect hexproof enemies. Where was Dominion over Flash? Dominion over Flash was blah 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 blah. Here, Dominion. You can apply an additional curse, and your curses can affect hexproof enemies. I mean, I guess having infinite curse duration is cool. I just like infinite curse duration because I hate reapplying curses, right? Duration plus bonus curse. Anyways. That node has a small wasted ascendancy node, the curse duration. I assume that the curse duration is probably changed here. It's not listed, but I assume that is changed, or we're going to have to yell at them, Isis. The Eldritch Empowerment notable passive no longer provides non-channeling spells cost additional 3% of maximum energy shield, and non-channeling spells deal 30% more damage, or spending energy shield does not interrupt recharge. I need to read Eldritch Empowerment. Where was it? Second hard. So non-channeling spells cost an additional 3% of maximum energy shield. What does that mean, 3% of maximum energy shield? So, like, they would cost another... I have 49 energy shield. So they cost a portion of that. Okay. Non-channeling skills deal 30% more damage, and spending energy shield does not interrupt recharge. Okay, now it says, instead it provides spells, deals 30% more damage when sacrificing energy shield. And I sacrifice 5% of maximum energy shield when you cast a spell. Sacrificing energy shield does not interrupt a recharge. Which means if I don't have energy shield to sacrifice, then I'm not getting more damage. Ergo, I always have to have energy shield. That is a rework for functional reasons because it used to make it so if you don't have ES, you can't cast any spells. Yeah, I understand. So now I can cast spells, but I'm not getting the bonus if I don't have energy shield. But if I do have energy shield, I do get the bonus. Ergo, I can always cast, but I don't always get the damage bonus. Yeah, as you have enough recharge, it's free damage. Exactly. But if you don't have it, you don't get free damage. Okay. And it works on channeling spells too. That's true. So it's a wholesale buff. I understand. Thank you for making this up to me. We're learning together, guys. That's why I like to do this stream. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this stream, but I was like, we can probably all learn something from this, right? We can all get smarter at the end of the day because no one knows everything. Apart from the people that live and shit this game. Like, there's probably a few creators who do. So, Eldritch Empowerment is now always 30% bonus damage to all spells if you have 5% max energy shield to sacrifice. Else is no bonus. Ha! And then the price of power, notable passive, no longer grants non-channeling spells consume a power charge if able to deal 25 instead is now provides. Oh, that's two. So spells do 40% more damage if you have a power charge. Here's the price of power here. Non-channeling spells consume power charge. Yeah, so you get... Well, that's cool. Okay. I mean, I haven't seen, like, an actual power charge build, right? But I guess you can launch out one overcharged spell now. The price of power equals to 40% more damage with power charge. Also to channeled. Yeah, you can power charge Incinerate now, exactly. Okay, I mean, that seems to me like a wholesale buff to Lich. We have infinite curse duration now. We got always damage if we have energy shield, right? And we have more damage if we use power charges. Getting power charges is annoying. Yeah, I have seen Lich builds where you sacrifice a minion with the sacrifice minion thingy that gives you a power charge, and then you would use an overpowered spell pretty much. Like a setup build, right? You would go like, minions, power charge, sacrifice, and then super spell. Kind of. Obviously, there is a thing you can't do anymore because you can't now swap your weapons to then use sacrifice on the other weapon set to then go back to your main weapon set, only that you could actually summon minions, sacrifice minion, get the power charge, main weapon set bonus damage. Because now you have to have, like, these spells active on both weapon sets. The same goes for Blink. So a lot of these, like, weird setups got kind of, like, torched. You think Infernalist minion build would be good? As far as I understood, minions now always hit. So minions can't miss. And minions themselves got buffed. Wholesale too, Hulking Flash. So they have more abilities now. Yes, minions should be strong, if you then like the passive playstyle. No, you can no longer put Blink on a second set, so I don't know if it's in the patch notes. Here. Blink, Convalescence, and Sacrifice can no longer be activated in specific weapon sets. They are now required to be active in both weapon sets, and will fail to activate if not possible. Apparently, a Contagion build would be good. Technically, Gareth. Everything that was good last season is more or less good this season. I say more or less because they were changes. Like, marked are no longer spells. So if you had a build that used cast on crit to make more marks, that doesn't work anymore, obviously. Because marks, you can only have one now, and they're not spells anymore. And some other stuff. But generally speaking, right? There's a lot of builds from last season that will still now be good this season, regardless. Wow, Bone Shatter. Shockwave now deals 100% more damage against unique enemies. Interesting. Wasn't Bone Shatter anyway strong already? And you're now doing more damage with it. That's kind of cute. I like it. But we're stuck with... Where were we stuck? Lich. Lich. Okay, so Lich was a wholesale buff. We got Infernalist. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to look at the Infernalist. That one, as far as I understood, also got stronger. because the Infernalist now has the demon form work better, easier. I mean, first, the Infernal Hound is now has now more area. So the Infernal Hound, grounded by the Loyal Hound, notable passive skill, ignites enemies within 2.5 meters. So Infernal Hound, bigger, ignite, radius. Great. Cool. It doesn't hurt. We have to wait another week. Hey. It's 5 effing days, brother. 5 days. Monday, Tuesday, other day, then Thursday, and Friday. And on Friday, it's already there. So actually 4 days, and 5th day is banger day. And I'll be here in the evening, chat. I'll be there. I will log in Exile. That auto-ignite will be more useful than ever. Yes, I fully agree with you. Because as far as we understood, ignite is now not ignite anymore, right? So spells that used to ignite build up flammability now, and the more flammability an enemy has, the higher the chance he gets ignited. Okay? And the loyal hound still ignites. So I guess that's actually pretty good. Or I'm just crazy, right? That you can still ignite. And he still ignites instead of flammability stack thingy. Right? Well, that doesn't sound too bad. Others. The Pyromantic Pact notable passive grants Infernal Flame equal to twice your mana, previously equal to your mana, but causes you to lose 25% of your Infernal Flame per second if you haven't gained any in the past 2 seconds. Previously, it was 50%. Let's read it. We got Infernal Flame. Where was it? Where was Infernal Flame? Wait. Pyromantic Pact, not Pyromantic Pact. So that was maximum mana replaced with Infernal Flame. Yeah. Infernal Flame instead of spending mana for skill cost. Yes. Take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage, blah, blah, blah. Lose all Infernal Flame on reaching maximum Infernal Flame, and 50% of Infernal Flame lost per second if none has been gained in the past 2. Is this good or bad? Yeah, I've not seen people use Infernal Flame, right? I've looked at many builds Infernal Flame wise, and I've yet to see something that really... Yeah, it was only used to self-damage for Barrier Invocation and Recoup for maintaining crazy demon form uptime. But is this now a nerf or a buff? So the Pyromantic Pact gives you Infernal Flame twice to your mana. So we can build up more Infernal Flame, right? We have a net total of more Infernal Flame. Because it was previously equal to your mana. So we can just get more. It causes you to lose 25% of your Infernal Flame per second if you haven't gained any in the past 2 seconds. So that is a nerf, right? Because we get more, but we lose less. And we technically don't want to keep too much. But no, it says take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage when you reach maximum. So technically, we take longer to reach maximum Infernal Flame. Yeah, so it's a nerf to the demon form tag, but if we would not go for demon form, and you would just play Infernal Flame, you would take longer to reach maximum. Yeah, it says, while on high Infernal Flame, your allies in your presence gain 50% damage. I understand. But still, if you reach 65% of your maximum Infernal Flame, right? You still have more to go until you reach 35%. So we get up, and then there's still a bigger headroom until we're full. So it takes longer to get to the 65. But it then also takes longer to get to max, and the slower drain helps us to longer stay in Seething Body. Yeah, it just makes it easier, exactly. So technically a buff for Seething Body. Pyromantic Pact is double Infernal Flame. of mana and slower decay. Which seething body buff, technically. And technically demon form nerf. So it's a buff. Yeah. And then we have demon form granted by demonic possession. Notable passive. No longer disables your weapons or has its own weapon set. That was a negative, right? Because you used to have your weapons and then you went into demon form and your weapons get deactivated. So if your weapons got like +5 to spell skills and +5 to whatever, then that was bad because you couldn't use your actual weapons. But now you can, right? It no longer grants level for all spell skills while in demon form. Did it used to do that? It gave +6 level to all spell skills while in demon form, but it doesn't make sense to give you that if your actual weapons are now working, right? Because if I have a weapon that gives me +6 to all spell skills, and then I go into demon form and I get +6 to all spell skills, and my weapons get deactivated, that would be stupid. Yeah, you didn't have weapons, but now we have weapons. So it's only good if you actually have a weapon with a lot of spell skills. But also your weapons still give you spell damage, right? So technically that's good. I mean, assuming you have a good weapon, that's good. If you have a bad weapon, that's bad. Right? It now grants 3% more spell damage per demon flame, and quality now provides increased cast speed while in demon form. Previously, no quality. So I guess demon form buffed. If you have good main offhand. Assuming. We got... You lose a lot of cast speed too. Did they take the cast speed out? Or, wait, dude... Do you not no longer grants level spell skills or increase spell damage per demon flame? But they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything about the cast speed. The cast speed should still work, right? He says it never said you lose the cast speed. Or am I blind? It doesn't grant the spell skills. Yes, that's what it says, right? But it never said anything about the 23% cast speed while in demon form. That should still be active. It no longer grants, and no longer increased per demon flame. It's like no grants 3% more damage per demon flame. But it gets less damage per demon flame because it was 3. Like this was 16% increased damage per demon flame, right? But now it's only 3% more spell damage per demon flame. So it's kind of like demon form buff, but nerfed. So it's like. I'm not sure if that will come out better or worse at the end. We'll have to try that out. Okay, Lich, Blood Mage, Acolyte of Shaula, Deadeye, Pathfinder. Pathfinder, yes. For Pathfinder, I think it was written really confusing. Did anyone else read through the Pathfinder? Here, it's a plus minus 0. It's a plus minus thingy. Okay, what does Pathfinder say? Is 3% more not better than 16% increase? Oh shit, I forgot about the more and increase. You're right. I'm still going with plus minus. You're correct that I completely forget about the wording of more and increase because this says increased damage and increased damage is additive and more damage is multiplicative. Oh, thank you, Heinz. It has been a while. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Why can't they just say multiplier? Why can't they just say multiplier? Yes, he's correct, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I glanced over that. The change to the Infernalist says it no longer grants level of spell skills while in demon form and increased spell damage, which is plus. Now it grants more spell damage, which is multiplicative. Yes. You're correct. And I was not glancing over it correctly. Pathfinder gets changed, yes. Let's go on to my Pathfinder. I mean, Pathfinder first got ruined, right? Because we couldn't play Pathfinder anymore. Has any one of you ever played Pathfinder? It used to be so beautiful because you could spam your Flask like crazy. But for some reason, they interacted with that because they didn't want you to just be a Flask-only character, right? You used to be able to go out and you used to be able to just throw Flask, and that was love, and we all enjoyed it, but we can't anymore. Because for some reason they decided that, let me check my notes, are reasons. Right? Where are you hanging out right now? Teleport me back to my ziggurat encampment. Teleport me back. Sorry. Is there a world that Infernalists can use Fissure and the new Strength Ancestral Warrior skill? I mean, there is a world, but you're starting on the complete other side of the passive tree, right? So if you start with a Infernalist, you start here. And potentially the interesting nodes are down there. Right? That's a stinker. Yeah. What do we have here? So passive things. The sustainable practices a notable passive grants 50% evasion rating, also grants elemental damage reduction. What? Did I use sustainable practices? Assume, relentless, running, overwhelming, sustainable. So 30% of evasion rating also grants elemental damage reduction. Oh, and you got practical remedies. Yes. Well, that's a buff. That's a buff, chat. Sustainable practices. I totally wrote that wrong, right? Yeah, practices. More elemental damage reduction. 30 to 50%. But here, so the way it reads now, Poisonous Concoction, granted by the Poisonous Concoction notable passive skill, has been renamed to Acidic Concoction. Okay, I mean, right now you could get Poisonous Concoction. Where's the hooded one?
One must always be willing to change.
So we could go for Poisonous Concoction, right? Which now does here. Poison on hit consumes 5 charges from your mana flask and 200% more magnitude of poison inflicted. So that's what it says right now. This is technically cool. Now it says, this concoction consumes charges from your mana flask to throw a flask that explodes, dealing physical attack damage. The thrown flask consumes poison on hit to cause an acidic burst, which deals damage based on the highest expected remaining damage of poison on the target. Acidic Concoction and Acidic Burst cannot poison. Acidic Burst deals unscalable physical damage equal to 150% of the expected remaining damage of the consumed poison and has a 30% more area of effect per poison affecting the enemy. Which means that you need to pre-poison the enemy to then throw Poisonous Concoction on them to have the poison explode. Right? Whereas the fulminating concoction says, if we use it, that was lightning damage, chance to shock, consumes 5 charges from your mana flask, inflicts lightning exposure on hit. The Fulminating Concoction, grounded by Fulminating Concoction notable skill passive, no longer inflicts lightning exposure. It has 50% more shock effect, which is actually good. Quality now grants 40% more chance to shock, previously 20% increased effect lightning exposure. So that Lightning Concoction is more or less the same. Nothing gets changed about that, but no one also really played Lightning Concoction as far as I'm aware. But we have Shattering. Shattering Concoction gives cold damage, freeze build-up, and cold exposure. But it now says, now inflicts elemental exposure on hit instead of cold exposure. So anything. and it freezes enemies on hit that are primed for freeze. Quality now grants 20% increased freeze duration instead of increased cold exposure. That actually sounds bad. The only thing I liked was Bleeding Concoction, because Bleeding Concoction says two things, okay? One was actually kind of cool in my eyes. It has base physical damage, inflicts bleeding on hit, cool, consumes 5 charges, and it has 200% magnitude of bleeding inflicted. That's a lot of magnitude for bleed, right? Interestingly enough, Bleeding Concoction granted by that, right, no longer has the magnitude of bleeding inflicted, but it says aggravated bleeding on target hits. So if you throw a Bleeding Concoction, it will aggravate the bleeding. You don't need anything else, right? Usually when it comes down to aggravated bleeding, there was always you had to either like get here bleeding you inflict is aggravated, but base bleeding is down. You had a chance to aggravate bleeding on targets that you critical hit, right? You had attack hits aggravated any bleeding on targets which older than that. 10% chance to aggravate bleeding. Right, so there were ways to aggravate bleeding, correct? But you could also just throw your concoction now to aggravate bleeding. It definitely is a nerf because you don't get the 200% magnitude anymore, because you could get the 200% magnitude and an aggravation, but you could also just throw it to aggravate any bleeding that you have inflicted. The problem is that any target that moves aggravates themselves unless you have a target that doesn't move, right? You have a stationary boss or something. It is a high nerf on mob clearing, right? As soon as you mob clear. So it does definitely feel like a nerf in the long run. I just like that it aggravates. Explosive Concoction granted by the Explosive Concoction no longer has 200% more magnitude of Ignite inflicted. That stings. And no longer inflicts fire exposure. Now fires up to 4 additional mini Flask projectiles at ignited enemies. So the enemy has to be ignited already, and then it would fire additional mini projectiles. And quality grants additional mini Flask projectiles thrown at ignited enemies. It seems better if you have someone ignited. But the problem is, I can't just play this to ignite enemies, right? This means I need to use a skill to ignite to then throw more flasks at the ignited enemy. Meh. Concoctions are payoff skills, which makes them boring. I mean, for me, this is a Pathfinder big minus. The main allure about playing Pathfinder was I get Pathfinder, I skill into the concoctions, and I could use them as a build, right? The Shattering Concoction build was insane. Using Bleeding Concoction used to be fun. Yeah. That was why I played Pathfinder personally. Like why I felt like this was the really interesting thing about it. Maybe there's a way to use poison, right? There was this new poison skill, but generally from a casual player standpoint, I don't see a reason to unpack Pathfinder again. I wonder where they're nerfing. Honestly, the main reason they're nerfing Pathfinder was because of the concoction build, right? We used to have this build here. Persil-Werbung. Sehr gut. Bitte waschen Sie Ihren Hund. Mit dem universalen Kraftgel. I'm sorry, chat, for making you suffer through an ad. I don't have YouTube Premium. I watch ads. My apologies. I need to get YouTube Premium, I guess. Oh god, there's another ad. I'm not gonna make you watch another German ad before you get like an aneurysm like I'm getting right now. But don't forget to wash your dog though, so he's white again. But not in the washing machine, I guess. Not in the washing machine. So yeah, this was the like too good because it was too good. Like see that was just throwing around like cool poison thingies and everything dies and it was like really mean and you could like kill bosses and it was like really cool and it was like really strong and we all love it. Like Shuddering Concoction is love, right? It was nice. This is Aka normal ads. No sir, I watch ads. I hope that you'll watch ads too for me. So I watch ads myself. Yeah, Pathfinder overall minus. So which one did we not have, guys? We got Amazon, Tactician, Blood Mage, Ritualist, Smith, Warbringer, Titan, Chronommancer, Stormweaver, Deadeye, Invoker, Lich, Pathfinder. And we are right now missing the Gemling Legionnaire. Even the Smith of Katava was covered. So Gemling. I have actually never played... I've never done Gemling. So I need to have the Path of Building up. Path of Building. By the way, they also did nothing to the Witch Hunter, right? Yeah. Witch Hunter is also untouched. Witch Hunter. Untouched. Which means that the Witch Hunter is insane now, right? It neither get a buff nor get a nerf. That means it's insane, obviously, because that makes sense. Definitely get some extremely strong buffs. I only glanced over it, so I have no opinion yet. Let's read. The Advanced Thaumaturgy Notable Passive no longer grants 30% less skill cost or skills have 30% more attribute requirements. Let me check. The Advanced Thaumaturgy on the site says 30% less cost of skills, which was really useful for skills that were extremely expensive, like Totem skills used to get super expensive down the line. But what does it say instead now? Instead it says the Thaumaturgical Dynamism buff. Okay. Which, while active, causes you to passively generate a power frenzy or endurance charge every 8 seconds. The type of charge you generate is determined by the attribute requirements of your socketed skill gems. The higher the total strength requirement total of your socketed skill gems, the more likely you will be to generate an endurance charge. Higher total dexterity requirement corresponds to a higher chance for frenzy and intelligence for power charges. Can I make this generated faster with fast forward? I mean, it says every 8 seconds, but with fast forward, it should be like every 5 seconds. It doesn't grant a skill. Whoa, ha, 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 ha. It says while active. Does it mean while the node is active, or does it give us a skill? Because it gives us the buff while active. So do we have to activate it? Right? Do we have to click the tiny wheel to make it go? I mean, it seems so terrible because of 8 seconds. I get 1 single charge. But I guess it's a free charge. But yeah. Maybe we don't like. Maybe you can reduce the cooldown. I mean, like, if we could have this to every 4 seconds, I would like it, right? So, advanced, thaumaturgy. Oh my goodness, how do you write thaumaturgy? Is thaumaturgical dynamism buff for a free charge every 8 seconds. There's some stuff you can build with the charges, but it doesn't seem too hot. The gem-studded notable passive no longer grants you use each type of support gem additional time. Yeah, because that was obviously like unnecessary. Like, what was it? It was this here. Gem studded, you can use each type of support gem additional time. You can do that anyways now. Instead, it now provides for each color of socketed gem that is most numerous. Sorry, what? For each color of socketed gem that is most numerous. Gain. Hits against you have no critical damage bonus. Skills have 30% less cost. And green, less movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. Does that mean if my skill has 2 red socketed into it, then I will get hits against you have no critical strike damage bonuses? Right? It means in total, right? It means in total. So if my whole Gemling Legionnaire has more blue than green than red, I get skill less cost. Which means you could technically equip a skill and just gem 5 blue supports in it to skew this. Right? I mean, let's say I use 6 skills and then I equip skill number 7 and I just put 5 blue in it and like all my skills have 30% less cost. Woo woo! And then you also have maximum per socket of red support gems. Skills gain increased critical hit chance per socket of blue support gem. Skills get increased damage per socket of red support gem. And skills get increased skill speed per socket of gem. And equipped skills and gems have reduced attribute requirements. I guess... What if you have 1 red, 2 green, and 2 blue? Do you get 2 buffs? I don't think you get 2 buffs if you have the equivalent amount of gems. Dammy, it will just break. It will just break and not work. I mean, if it would apply all buffs if you have equal gems, I'd say, wow, that's actually nuts. Generally speaking, it's not bad. I mean, if you anyways want to take integrated efficiency for the increased crit hit chance, for the increased damage, for the increased skill speed, right? So if you're anyways interested in this and you want to spend the points, then having gem studded doesn't hurt. Right? I mean, gem studded provides passive buffs that are not actually bad. I mean, this is not a wholesale super killer buff, but Gemling Legionnaire is still good. Yeah, I mean, you get no crits against you. Alone that is nice. That's awesome. It just makes you tankier by literally existing. You exist, so you're tanky. Okay, the time has come, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the Acolyte of Shaula. And people have been writing me DMs about this and saying, Pony, have you seen? People have been in the YouTube comments saying, I need to play Acolyte of Shaula now. Surprise me. If this is not insane, I'm going to be mad at you, okay? Where are you? Acolyte of Shaula. I am ready to get bamboozled, okay? Positively bamboozled. The reality-rending notable has been renamed to Sap of Nightmares and no longer grants you a chance to gain a percentage of damage with hits as extra chaos damage. Instead, it now grants Leech recovers based on chaos damage as well as physical damage. And since Acolyte of Shaula is all about chaos damage with a reality rending, which one is reality rending? Okay, reality rending here, so 2 points. That was chance to gain damage with extra chaos damage, chance to gain damage with the hits as extra chaos damage, chance to gain 100% of damage with hits as extra damage. So you're not getting bonus damage anymore, but all your chaos damage leeches. Reality rending equals to chaos damage leeches now. And it also says instead grants leech recovers based on chaos damage. Does that mean that it's mana and life leech, right? Both. Yeah, I can I can see that being good because if you put contagion on, you instantly start leeching with chaos damage. And there, I remember there being an Acolyte of Shaula contagion build. The lucid dreaming notable passive no longer provides any benefits itself, instead now being a multiple choice notable. Okay, what was lucid dreaming doing before? Lucid dreaming says effect and duration of flames of Shaula on you is doubled. Doesn't do anything itself. And now it says choice of life. All flames of Shaula you manifest are red. Choice of mana. All flames of Shaula you manifest are blue. And choice of power. All flames of Shaula you manifest are purple. The flames of Shaula gave you buffs, if I'm not mistaken, according to what? I just know they gave you buffs. I don't know what buffs they gave you. Red is max life. Purple flames of Shaula provide a stacking buff granting as damage is extra case damage for 5 seconds, stacks up to 10, and blue is max mana. So that means if I play an Acolyte of Shaula now, I could always get the purple flames to just get more chaos damage. And then I could also say reality rending now heals me with chaos damage. So that together already itself seems decent to what I see here. I mean, I can at least see a build forward, right? Force flames to be a specific color. You have a permanent gain of 70. I understand that. Into the Breach skill granted by Waking Dream notable passive grants remnants spawned by supported skill have 50% increased effect. That's good. Into the Breach. Flames have increased effect, which means that I force lucid dreaming to give me purple flames, and then that effect is increased by 50%. Cool. Grasp the Void notable has been renamed to Illusory Void and no longer requires Embrace the Darkness. Oh, wait. So we get Embrace the Darkness, but this one is not a requirement anymore. We can straight up jump into Grasp the Void. And it says it no longer provides gain 1% extra case damage per 20 unreserved darkness, and instead grants a new skill, Void Illusion. It's good that you're explaining Void Illusion here. Is there any explanation what Void Illusion does? No. Was it in the video? Was it here in the third edict video that so I don't have to start yelling at the screen? Yeah, it was in the live stream. Well, that's assuming someone actually watched the live stream, because I didn't personally watch the live stream. I was sleeping. Right? Okay, so let's see. Kangren has a listed here. That leaves behind Void Illusion when you dodge roll. These illusions then explode when they're struck by an enemy attack. This effect is part of the new features introduced in the game's recent patch update, which focus on the Void theme for new passive skills. I mean, sounds good. Doesn't sound terrible. Livestream was great. I mean, I understand that the livestream was great, right? But I don't need to watch the livestream for most of the information. I'd still have to watch it at some point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I prefer Grasp of the Void for the bonus damage. Grasp. Grasp of the Void. Bronze. Void Illusion. Skill. Now. Meh. I think it's personally meh from what it sounds. Yeah, I don't want to dodge roll all the time just to trigger this. Embrace the Darkness notable passive now has Darkness reservation lasts for 5 seconds, previously 10. Is that good or bad if the reservation is longer? Embrace the Darkness. You have no spirit. Base maximum darkness is 100. Damage taken is reserved from darkness before being taken from life or energy shield. Darkness reservation lasts. Oh, that's a buff then. Okay, yeah, that's a buff. I understand. That's a buff. Embracing the Darkness, buffed. 5S, 10S. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, Embrace the Darkness, yeah. The Inner Silence nodal passive has been renamed to Deepening Shadows and no longer grants 50% reduced darkness reservation duration. Instead, it now grants 1% increased maximum darkness per 1% chaos resistance. I like that. I think that's good. It sounds good. You get more darkness. And you can go up to 75 chaos resistance. So it's 75% more maximum darkness. Someone making a OP dodge build, I'm sure. Yes, but most of these OP builds always require a lot of uniques. So, like, if a skill ain't good by simply existing, then I'm not interested, right? Inner Silence equals to Deepening Shadows for more darkness. The Ravenous Doubt's notable passive skill has been renamed to Inner Turmoil, and no longer grants Mana Leech recovers based on the other damage type as well as physical damage. Instead, it now grants 1 volatility on inflicting an elemental ailment and take no damage from volatility. I don't know what a volatility is, so I have no clue what that means. What does Ravenous Doubt say right now? Mana Leech recovers based on other damage types as well as physical damage. Okay. It no longer grants Mana Leech, but now grants 1 volatility on inflicting an elemental ailment and take no damage from volatility. Volatility detonates after 4 seconds, dealing physical damage to you per volatility. For 10 seconds after detonation, you gain 1% of damage as chaos for each volatility which detonated. The detonation timer will reset, gaining another stack of volatility. Volatility can be gained once every 0.1 seconds, and volatility does not normally have a maximum. That makes it sound great, I guess. Because you put volatility, okay, and you take no damage from volatility. So I get stacks for inflicting ailments that make me do more chaos damage, but I don't take damage from these stacks. I assume. So, Ravenous Doubts is now Inner Turmoil, granting volatility stacks for more chaos damage. So far, Acolyte of Shaula definitely sounds better than before, because before I always read Acolyte of Shaula and I was like, yeah, so what? Correct? I think a lot of you agree with this. Like, you read through the things it offers, it was like, I can't imagine a build with this. I cannot imagine why this would be fun. Now it seems like more fun. Embrace the darkness. No, that was sort of turmoil, right? Ah, now here. The consuming questions notable has been renamed to unraveling. That was consuming questions. You cannot recharge energy shield. Mana leech affects all recover energy shield. Okay. and no longer grants you blah 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 or mana shield. Instead, it now grants chaos damage from hits, also contributes to ignite chance and magnitude, freeze buildup, or shock chance, changing every 2 seconds. Which means that my chaos damage from hits, so if I hit something with anything, have a chance to ignite, freeze, or shock. Where I can ignite, freeze, or shock better. And then I get more volatility because I afflict ailments. Yeah. Cool. Consuming questions equals to unraveling for more shock, ignite, freeze. Build up. Kind of. Sounds fun. I mean, it's at least a build you can imagine right now, correct? So I need something to be able to shock, freeze, ignite the enemy. And if I have a skill to shock, freeze, ignite, then I can get easy volatility stacks, and I'll be able to then do tons of bonus chaos damage to go crazy. While I have a lot of darkness to not take damage, and then I can get even more darkness if I wanted to. Cool. It at least sounds like an actual build, right? It sounds like something. It sounds like fun. It sounds strong. Reading through Shaula makes it sound like this could be strong. Exactly. Reminder that cast on freeze, shock, and ignite are now cast on elemental ailment. I did not forget about that. This is going to play well with a Black Flame Keystone passive. I remember something. Added a new Keystone passive to the northwest of the Witch Sorceress starting location, Black Flame Covenant. This Keystone converts fire damage to chaos damage, with this damage contributing to ignite chance and magnitude, and ignites inflicted with fire skills dealing chaos damage. And as far as I read this, that means that my chaos damage can now ignite. Right? Which is cool, because if my chaos damage can then ignite, then my chaos damage could actually build up the volatility charges, and then with the volatility charges, we could go crazy. The question is, where is the Black Flame Covenant landing? Covenant Keystone for chaos damage igniting. Oh wow, igniting. Oh wow, I can't write igniting. Been a long day. So the problem is, like, where's the node going to be? Correct? So as a monk, we're starting here, and what if it's like all the way on this side? I mean, this is like the witch thingy, right? It could be like up here somewhere, all the way away. So I gotta go like to get there. I think I saw an image of Black Flame Covenant being relatively close to the Witch Star on the left side. That would be helpful, certainly. It also turns all fire spells purple. That's cute. I like to hear that. I really do. I mean, so far this looks all pretty intriguing. I couldn't decide which one I would now want to rather play though. So from everything we've just gone through, Chad, do you have a preference already? I mean, right now I'm tending towards Warbringer together with a new fissure skill. That's definitely something I'm very interested in. Sadly, concoctions are dead to me, so Pathfinder might not be played. Chronommancer does not sound interesting at all. Titan is untouched, so it's boring because you can anyways do builds with it, right? I mean, right now, Warbringer does seem like something I want to play around with. Smith of Katava is dead to me as well because we didn't get new fire skills. Ritualist is at least interesting because the sacrifice node is now an all-in-one. Blood Mage is really effing cool because of being Blood Mage with Sanguinimacy working. Tactician needs to be tried out as a totem build as well with the Mortar totems, if I'm not going to go for Warbringer for the Mortar totems. Because that's the thing, like I want to play Warbringer for the fire damage shebang bang. But at the same time, I'm going to have to play Warbringer for the Mortar totem. Or I would just have to accept that one Mortar totem is enough and you don't actually want more Mortar totems, right? I mean, this is what has me mad about the Tactician right now. Like, sure, you can get the totem, but then I would have to play a rapid fire totem build. Well, we really have to test this on the Tactician. So you get the Tactician, right? We can actually test this because if I go to Doriani right now, and we can refund the here. So we have cannons ready. Skills used by totems have more skill speed. Okay. Totems only use skills when you fire a projectile. This means that these beautiful babies here, they don't shoot if I don't shoot, right? So they only shoot if I shoot. See, I'm shooting, like, by the way, and you see them shooting, right? So I have to shoot for them to shoot. But what we wanted to know is, like, if I throw grenades now, they also shoot, right? So, but I have to actually do something for them to do something. Now, what we wanted to know is, what if, ladies and gentlemen, we pull out a jewel. Thank you very much. And, oh, wait. Oh, let me get it in here. And what if we use Rapid Shot? Any other one that shoots fast? I mean, you could probably, you know, galvanic shards get nerfed, right? You can't spam it anymore. Volcanic, no. What was shock burst rounds? You could do shock burst rounds, probably, right? I mean, we need something that I can just go like bibbity bobbity bobbity boo, right? And just bibbity bobbity bobbity boo it away. Herald of Ash, you go out for a second, so I can just. So if I now summon these. I can't just shoot both bolts that release extra pulls. Why can I not shoot shock burst rounds? Chat. Can you not just shoot them? I was under the assumption you could. There's a sharpest round. It's loaded. It shows 18 rounds loaded, my friend. It shows 18 rounds loaded. It might just simply be that the crossbow, because it is a crossbow, couldn't shoot them for some what reason ever. Shouldn't be, but had happened before. Did you fire with another? Like, wait, did I fire? Did I just load them? Oh, I just loaded them. Yeah, okay, ignore me. Yeah, ignore me. Ignore me for a second. A big fucking effing moment. Yeah, no. Yeah, I just had a party moment. And I guess I could do that, but the problem is I would be like then only there to apply shock, right? I'm not against the idea. Yeah, I'm like, so the problem with rapid fire is that it needs to rapid fire up, right? So when you use rapid shot, it goes like brrrr, and then it shoots. The thing is, it says grenades gain 6% of damage as extra fire damage per heat. So the question obviously is, if you're using rapid shot instead of the shock burst rounds, right? So now we'd be using rapid shot. And then I put down my totems. And then we're going. And my grenades get more damage. Rapid shot has been reworked. Yes, we actually need to read this, but I think the functionality should somewhat be similar, right? So, Rapid Shot no longer has a delay before firing bullets, which is amazing, or 50% less reload speed, which is double amazing. It now has 100 maximum ammunition at all gem levels, and 30 to 45 maximum heat at gem levels 5 to 20. It now deals 94% attack damage at gem level, blah blah blah, and quality now grants maximum heat. Cool. Heat no longer grants Rapid Shot damage gained as fire damage. Instead, reaching maximum heat prevents you from using the skill for 10 seconds. It now generates heats once per attack instead of once per 0.25 seconds. Heat now begins decaying after 4 seconds without gaining heat at a rate of 10 heat per second. Heat no longer grants grenade skills damage gained as fire damage. Instead, explosive grenades and cluster grenades consume 15 heat to gain 50% of damage as fire damage, while incendiary shots consume 30 heat to gain 50% more magnitude. The big question, though, is if I put down the mortar. Okay, chat. Well, what we're talking about is putting down the mortar. Okay, here, that is 18 minutes. Was it 18 minutes? No, 18 minutes was that. Where was the freaking mortar again? Oh, no, chat. Where was the mortar? Who remembers the timer for the mortar? We know the mortar was in here. 18 was the hammer throw. Where was the mortar again? Oh, my God. We'll never find it. Mortar pain. Mortar pain. No. That's Shaula. Mage. Life. Could have been so easy if I didn't scoop and poop around 22. Could be. It's warrior. More warrior. Ah, that's monk. That's monk. That's stuff. No, Suming, listen. Like, I think you're missing the point here. Okay, let me explain where we're going with this. What I need to know is, what I desperately need to know is, if the actual use of the mortar, because that's what we're getting to now, okay? we're getting to the mortar. So yeah, you get the mortar, right? This is a mortar cannon, which says totem duration is 8 seconds, limit 1 totem, and it shoots out the explosive grenades. So you can actually socket the explosive grenades in it, right? So it says consumes 15 heat if possible, right? And if I now put this thing down, look at the fire rate. 1, 2, 3 grenades. So it shoots grenades like crazy. So, like, now comes the consideration. I put down these mortar totems. I put out Rapid Shot. Rapid Shot gets heat per second. But whenever I Rapid Shot, due to the passive node called Cannons Ready, my totems are going to be shooting totem stuff out, right? So, if I then shoot the totems, and my totems shoot the rockets, and my grenades can consume heat, then I am gaining heat, and I'm going to have 3 or 4 mortar totems consuming the heat while I create it. Right? So technically, I shouldn't be able to create heat. If it works that way. The good thing is that these changes to the Ascendancies, they should also apply to my standard characters, right? The same question applies regardless of the node. Yes. The same question regardless of the node. But the thing is, Tutsu, that like we need to know if I can use the skill together with the mortar. Because the thing is, I don't need a rapid fire if I play grenades. Okay, so if I would play normal grenades, I don't care about Rapid Shot. But Rapid Shot is obviously the smart making skill for Cannons Ready. Unless we just want to go for the lightning shot, right? Ming, I'm like, right? This is the thought process we're having here. Isis, it doesn't matter if it needs CDR or not. Cannons Ready gives you +1 totem. Okay? So the basic idea is not, does Cannons Ready do something skill speed wise for the totems, okay, Cannon's Ready gives you +1 totem and more totem damage. So it should already make your, hopefully, your thing do more damage. And then you could obviously get Pin build up and Immobilize build up if you want to. And if you're then funny, you can mix in, what was it with Tactician? If we're funny, you can mix in the different totems to buff other totems. Right? Yeah, Warbringer gives you things, but you have totems to buff totems. So let's not forget about that, like with the Tactician, right? With the Tactician, if I put in a Siege Ballista in between, then grants 50% increased damage against immobilized enemies, right? So you would put in 1-2 points over here, then maybe get the less reservation, or put the 4 points in here for the immobilize and the stunning, or only put it here for the immobilize. But you also want to watch how I do it, because it says allies in your presence gain attack damage equal to 25% of your main weapon's attack damage. And since now totems actually gain damage from your damage, right? You are not going to have a low-level weapon anymore. You're going to have an absolute insane bow at this point. You actually want to watch how we do it, because then all your totems could be gaining massive damage. The question only is, though, does the bonus damage here, does the bonus attack damage apply to totems throwing grenades? Right? So that's again the question. Do the grenades that you put into the totem, do they even profit from attack damage? Because they're grenades. I mean, yeah. Right? They are an attack, so technically, since a grenade is an attack, they should profit from attack damage. There was an issue in the past where it didn't profit from the node. Yes, Gareth, the node did not work on totems. We still choose it because it should work, right? We still choose it because it should work. It just didn't. But this is still one of my more favorite builds to go around with. I really liked playing this kind of character. It was just merely enjoyable to just go around and pop out your totems, right? Let me actually play this with Rapid Shot for... let's not play it with Rapid Shot. Let me put on Shock Burst, because I just need to see how it would feel if I have to shoot the time to make these totems work. Obviously not grenade totems, but I still... Because usually you would put them down and they would just kill everything, right? You just run and everything just dies. But now you would have to put down your mortar totems. They wouldn't attack, and then you would have to start attacking. Which is like the big issue here, right? So I need to start attacking to make them attack. Otherwise, they won't attack. I see otherwise they're just standing around. So I gotta already like force attack, right? The only thing that I'm unsure about in this build, because if you're then busy running around, right? If I am busy dodging things, if I'm busy not standing there and shooting, that obviously means my totems are not going to attack anyone. So in the moment where you're usually then surviving, your totems would usually do the DPS for you, right? For example, if you play against Xerok in the what was it called again? You play against Xerok in the Trials of Sekhmet, it wouldn't matter, because you would obviously just put down your totems, right? And he would do his temporal shebang bang, but you would just be dodging around and not care about the temporal shebang bang, and your totems would just shoot. I mean, technically you want to do this, right? And then we're just standing in their presence and we're just blasting away, and we just watch our grenade totems grenade the living shit out of everyone. That's the basic plan I would like to have, because I would love the fantasy behind this, right? It would just make me happy. You can only use one totem, right? There's a cap on mortar totems. Sir, that's why you have +2 totems. All totems you cannot put multiple of. Limit totem is 1 on every totem. Okay? every totem is limited by +1. But then you get your skills that tell you that attack skills that summon totems have +1 to totems. Much better for totems to auto-attack. That's the whole point, right? That cannons ready feels technically bad. But it must be useful somehow. I mean, let's be real. It can't just be horrible, can it? It can't just be horrible. There must be a use for this skill. And I'm hoping that we can do it with the grenade totems. Just for the YOLOs, right? Just for the YOLOs. I just want to summon 4 artillery totems, okay, chat? And then I want to start unloading with my skill, okay? Then I want to just start unloading into the enemy with my skill. And I want to see these 4 artillery totems go like... Boop, 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 boop. That's what I want. That's what make me happy. You understand? Sir, ma'am, Dave? And I think we all want this, right? We all would be happy if that works. I do believe we will end up with Fissure, though, as my first one. So for the people asking, well, what is it going to be? It's most likely going to be something here with a warrior, because Fissure looks cool now. We might actually do some Fissure stuff like before the patch hits, so I can try out with this. You have the volcanic fissure, right? It does now fissure branches 2 times, and you can hit the fissure to make it like go again. So that's kind of cool, like the fire into the fire into the fire. It still seems gimmicky at this point, right? If you're just seeing like the basic application, the Forge Hammer itself is just love. I mean, you can just throw in a goddamn Forge Hammer, and alone that one. So you throw it in, it has an impact radius of 1.8 meters, right? And you're just alone throwing it in, and it goes boom, boom, boom. And then you cry, and it explodes. How can you not want to Forge Hammer, leap, cry, fun? Right? How can you not want to do this? And then you just have the fire spiral go out and out and out. What I also wanted to know with Perfect Strike is, because they did something to Perfect Strike, right? So we could already have Perfect Strike hit a whole screen almost. So they lowered the damage, right, of Perfect Strike, which is fine. But Perfect Strike now has plus 35 melee strike range. And there's usually this thing with Perfect Strike where you could play it and it already had like a massive area before it, right? And then with more area damage, you actually ended up having Perfect Strike that kind of hits like this, right? So with more melee range, can we have Perfect Strike be like a very nasty ranged attack? Is it like right? It has plus 35 melee range, and you're just gonna go like and hit like, you know? Just have it like massive area. Just hope that Warrior's defense isn't too scuffed to do this. It's going to be interesting to see with the shields having lowered block chance, but at the same time, with the shields having lowered block chance, you also don't scale the block chance that high anymore. So if you only have 50% block chance, or like right instead of 75, you're still good because you actually have 50% block chance. But yes, Warrior looks fun in terms of what it does. Like this just looks great, right? You just Alone this one scene, this is the feeling you want to have. So you want to put down your goddamn stupid hammer, right? So hammer fissure down, then hammer down, and then you go ancestral cry, and shit just hits the fan. Right? The boom. That's the moment you want to have. When it has what? It requires 100 glory to use. Warcry radius is 4 meters. Warcry duration 8 seconds. Consume all endurance charge to increase Warcry duration by 50% per charge. Converts 100% of physical damage to fire damage with boosted attacks. And then you just go volcanic eruption, fissure, steps, everything. Most people are saying Warrior is dead in this league. This is very important. Most people are saying shit. And when I say shit, I mean they're not talking for the average casual player. Okay? So I'm not talking down on any creator. I'm not calling out any creator, but 80%, no, 90% of Path of Exile 2 creators are tryhards. There are very few chill non-tryhard creators that make non-tryhard builds, right? We're talking about, can you go from level 1 to 85 with a Fissure Warrior, right? Can we go from 1 to 85 with a Fissure Warrior? Can we clear out Citadels with a Fissure Warrior? Can we kill the Arbiter in its normal version? We're not talking about the super boosted Pinnacle Arbiter, right? We're talking about, can I go from this to there? Can I finish my 4th Ascendancy? Can I have fun with this? That's the question. This is what a build needs to do, right? And if a build can go from 1 to 85, if a build can go to Ascendancy 1, 2, 3, if a build can go to Act 4 and whatever new Trials of Chaos there is, and also kill the Arbiter at least once, then a build is good. Correct? Your 0.3 builds will need to build difficult for Arbiter. He says, we'll have to see how difficult Arbiter really is going to be after the buffs nerfs now, right? There are new Ascendancies. No, sadly, there are no new Ascendancies. They completely put that away. We have the old Ascendancies, so with some buffs, reworks, sadnesses left, right, and center. All in all, it's looking more up than down, including some of them being virtually useless, aka Pathfinder, Witch Hunter being untouched, so no one plays Witch Hunter anyways. Some getting really cool, like the Acolyte of Shaula, so I can see me actually playing that one. I've not played Acolyte of Shaula until now, so the game is almost a year old and I haven't even touched that, right? Titan is unchanged, so you can still do, like, every single build you have done with Titan, you can pretty much still do with Titan now. Apart from Giant's Blood being nerfed. When are we getting new weapons? Next patch. Next patch is going to be Druid and new weapons, probably. This patch was a new act because people needed a new act. Like, you have to look at their vision, right? So what did they do with this patch? What was the very big change with this patch, ladies and gentlemen? They actually made it so that we are getting the 3rd Edict here. And we don't have to play through the cruel difficulty anymore. And I think this was really important. This was the biggest change they could do. So we're playing now Act 1, 2, 3. Then we play Act 4. And then we play Immediary Act 5, 6, and 7. Obviously, these will fucking annoy you at some point as the cruel difficulty does. But at least it's not the cruel difficulty, which was just bullshit because you play through the exact same acts again. This time it is handcrafted content that is having new bosses and is meant to lead you into the end game. And I think that's a good thing, right? I want handcrafted fun content. I don't want to just repeat the same content and get it shoved down my throat. So I get a new act and I get new things to play through, which makes the playthrough more fun. And like, if you think about it, if you had a druid now instead of this, like they gave us the druid and they gave us new weapons, you would actually throw up after one playthrough again because you're going through Act 1, 2, 3, and then Cruel again, and you would hate it. Right? You would absolutely hate it. You would be fucking annoyed. You would play Druid, and then you'd be annoyed. So in this case, they gave people really the chance to replay the game again and at least enjoy their playthrough. I mean, I still enjoyed Act 1, 2, 3 and Act 1, 2, 3 Cruel. I love playing through this game. So different from people, right? I personally, like, I'm very excited alone for this. Alone for the 3 mini acts. Alone for Act 4. I am horny to play this, right? And then we get the current existing stuff. By the way, challenge the new bosses, guys. I have been at Gamescom. Guess what I did? I played the boss rush. I played all these new bosses already. They're fire. I played against the new shark. I played against this shark here. I played against that. I played against the giant. This giant. Really cool as well. So a couple of bosses I fought against. And you know what I got from this? I got this, Chad. This is a keycap for Path of Exile 2. That's going to be my new escape button so I can impale myself on it. I sadly did not get to test Rise of the Abyss League, but I already saw some of the new bosses and they're actually fire. Can I have it? No, sorry, Frozen Thunder. I fought tooth and nail. The worst part about Gamescom was they had lags. Chat, they had lags. Your screen would freeze for 5 seconds, but the game would still take inputs. That means your screen freezes for 5 seconds. You press 1, 2, 3 for your potions. Then you press your skills. Then you press your potions. After 5 seconds, it keeps on going. And then you do the same again because it was like 5 seconds freeze, 1 second play, 5 seconds freeze, 1 second play. Somehow I still managed to actually kill bosses. Yeah. Wow, that's been 3 hours, Chad. So for everyone that has been here or not here, hi, pleasure to meet you all. We have spent now 3 hours talking about patch notes. I'm like, I guess you're all crazy. You're officially all crazy, you filthy animals. Now let me check here down the actual skill alterations because there have been like a lot of skill changes, right? That I have partially not all read because some of them have not been worth it to actually look into. And it's obviously important to see that mark skills are no longer spells. By the way, someone said something about warrior totems. They could be worsted for the slam skills, but actually they have 50% less attack speed, so that's could be kind of annoying. Art get buffed, if I remember, because it's now a projectile skill and it actually does good things, so that was nice. I mean, that blink can no longer be used is intriguing. People have been talking to me about Cold Snap. Like, Cold Snap is actually cool now. Game for me this league has been trash. As soon as I click on the map device, the game crashes. You go into your Path of Exile settings folder, Frozen Tundra, and you delete your settings profile and restart the game. That might fix all your problems. I had some crashing related issues with this game as well. I don't know where the settings folder was again. It was under documents and then I don't know where. My games, Path of Exile 2, exactly. And then you delete the config, okay? My games, documents, my games, Path of Exile 2, delete the config, restart the game. It should fix all your problems. I could partially not start the game because of this. Okay. How's the Thorns build now? Thorns build are supposedly better now. Mr. Keltoric, the name is Keltoric, actually the Thorns expert. He definitely made some intriguing videos about that, and it seems to be working. What am I going to play first? So for me right now, with all the changes that we have seen, there are two things crystallizing out. So either for League starters, okay? League starters, guys. I want to do Fissure Warrior. I want to do Totem Mercenary. What are Totem? I want to do Fissure Warrior is Warbringer. We have the Totem Mercenary. I obviously want to do something with minions. Infernalist. And Blood Mage. But I don't know what Blood Mage, okay? But why Blood Mage? Blood Mage got wholesale buffed, so Blood Mage is really, really nice now. Definitely want to do something with that. Obviously, like Tactician here. This is Mortar Totem plus Tactician. That's the Merc is Tactician. And Blood Mage. I don't know with what. Maybe Bone Bleed in that direction. This all depends a little bit on the passive nodes, right? Monk Unarmed. I want to do Monk Unarmed, but later down the line. So that's not for my starter, right? I'm currently like looking what is the most interesting starter I could do. Bone Storm, Blood Mage, yeah, here that we have Blood Mage, Bone Bleed, something in that direction. Sadly, I will probably not play the Amazon because Amazon just got nerfed, right? And that makes it really like boring to even consider. Like getting the crit chance wholesale nerfed is bad, getting the lightning spear nerfed is bad. Like it just takes away from the fun of playing Amazon. So not really interested. It should still be powerful. Like I don't doubt that Amazon will still be one of the strongest things to do, right? What happened to Spearfield? Exactly. We needed to look into Spearfield because I love Spearfield as a skill. I made a whole Spearfield build, but something happened to Spearfield. Something happened to Spearfield, but why can I not find Spearfield is one word. Fuck me. Spearfield now deals damage at gem level. Previously it was that, right? And it deals 80% less damage in the first 0.5 seconds of its duration. It no longer has an unintentionally hidden 300% more damage after 0.5 seconds. The biggest problem with this is the 80% less damage. If you put Spearfield into the opponent, you always deal 80% less damage, right? What I would like to know is if a Spearfield rearms, does it then also do 80% less damage? Because technically a spear from the Spearfield, you can cast into the opponent and then the spear can rearm, which of the cast into the rearm would then have it do max damage. Right? I'm not sure how good Spearfield could still be. I mean, like, having this 204% bonus damage is nice, but not having the hidden super bonus damage that it used to have, yeah. I just generally like bleed builds, okay? You have to understand I'm a sucker for bleed builds, guys, right? If you test fissure builds, please stream. If you're new to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, I don't do anything off stream. I don't have time to do things off stream. So all our runs, everything will be streamed. I mean, Path of Exile is a while ago. We had many other games. That was a lot of here, this. So you're gonna see me, like, right? We're gonna have the titles. That's Tactician, 1 to 85, Endgame Tactician, Warrior. That was Huntress. That was Kazan in between. Then we had the solo self-found build. That was also really fun. But you'll notice that every stream will always be titled properly with what it actually is, okay? Chronommancer 1 to 65. We got the Merc, 65 plus, Merc 1 to 65. So we have them all every single time. You won't miss out on it, okay? Don't you worry. We got this all covered. You know you will start with a Merc. Ah, you know me too good, sir. You know me too good. I mean, right now, if I would have to put down preference, okay? So this would be 3 pluses. There would be 2 pluses. Something with minions is a mild interest to me, and Blood Mage is actually even more. So this would be, right now, my weighting in what I am really intrigued in. The Totem Mercenary, I just love the idea of a Mortar Totem. It just has me rock hard right now, okay? The Fissure Warrior, I like throwing that hammer. Doing something with Blood Bleed is just because I love the Bleed fantasy, right? And the actual Blood Mage get buffed. So yeah, it's a bit of it's a tight race. The something with minions is just because I like minions. What about Shaula? Shaula is for later down the line, okay? I need to first get into the league. I need to get a feeling for all the new notables, passives, for all that kind of stuff, to then try out the other stuff. And I recommend that to everyone. Maybe play something safe first. Because if you play something safe first that you understand and that you know how to scale, then the new nodes will not overwhelm you too much. Instead of playing something that you might actually ruin down the line and then feel shitty because it's not strong enough, right? That's why I probably will go with something that I know how to really make good, right? I know how to scale this. I know how to have Totem Merc be like an absolute banger from the very beginning on, to then see where we can go into. By the way, did they ever say what level Totem is? Like, how soon can we get the Totem skill? I mean, this requires at level 15, 40, 64. But they never said it in the patch notes, right? What level Mortar? Nah. I'm just sad about the Spearfield nerf. Spearfield nerf makes me really sad. I'm not looking forward to that, but we'll see. I mean, volcanic fissure is just so interesting. What is volcanic grenade? Now applies electrocution debuff to enemies on hit for 6 seconds and has more electrocution buildup from hits with this skill at gem level. Wow. Wow. I mean, it has less damage, but it has more electrocution. That volcanic grenades might actually be worth it. Other grenades. We got the volcanic grenade. We got the could not generate meta. Cluster grenades. Yeah, cluster grenades get buffed. We knew that. So cluster grenades now do more damage, right? And like they could be interesting. Gas grenade no longer has special behavior, causing it to detonate as soon as it stops bouncing. So it's strictly based on the detonation timer. Rapid shot was buffing the grenades. Yep. And voltaic grenade was voltaic grenading. Okay. It has hop, yeah, but I never played the voltaic grenade for damage. I actually played it just in between for shock. So I you know, you just had grenade, voltaic, freeze, oil grenade, gas, explosive, voltaic, oil, right? So I never really cared for the actual damage to go out like that. What do you think your starter will be? Most likely Totem Merc. I have done a Totem Merc already, so I know exactly how to put the skill points for Totem Merc, right? So we have this Tactician Dawn of the Hunt. This is the actual Totem Mercenary, right? This is the actual mercenary that plays the totems, that has me then shoot out and has my totem shoot. So I have done this exercise before. I have put my damage in for the bonus damage with the two-handed weapons, for the bonus here, fire resistance penetration, for the maximum totems, for the actual weapon swaps as well, because as you can see, these points here are all weapon swap points. So if I swap my weapon, I do like here the explosive grenade stuff, and if I then swap my weapon back, I do the totem placing stuff. So I've gone through both motions of the oceans. I figured this out, how I have to put all my shitty points to make this actually work. You should be able to banner your totems. Yeah, but can we really banner your totems? Because we are already busy. Like, if I play the way that we're planning to play, you're going to put down like 1, 2, 3, right? And then you're going to be like blasting out to have them shoot. So are you going to be actually having time to banner your totems? Okay, because right now, like, again, the way how this is being played is put the totems down and then you need to attack for your totems to attack, right? 3 buttons on your controller at most. Yeah, I see people telling me if I give you a build with more than 3 buttons, like it's Joe Ever, right? They don't want it. That's like try hard. Going for more than that. Like how dare I to even consider like putting more things in? Like too try hard. No one can play a build like that. A big step forward. Seems all the changes are good, but let's wait for the final patch note on the game experience too. I think a big change will really be the passive nodes, right? Because currently when I play a grenade build, I know that I put in X points, then I go for the bonus projectiles, right? Then I'm going to put in X points, and I'm going to go for grenades explode a second time. Then I'm going to put in like so and so many points, right? I know where to go. But the Merc is getting like 23 or 17 new nodes put in. So where are they going to fit? I mean, are they just going to squeeze something in here? Or are we going to move something outside? Are we going to beef up the whole thing? Are we just going to have like more things on every, like here, there could obviously be something there, right? There could be something here. There could be something here. There's some space to squeeze something in, right? You could squeeze another thing in here. We could have something pop out of this, like right there. There's technically enough space to pop in stuff, but where is it going to end being? Do you think the Ranger Merc will be good? Well, the Ranger Merc will be able to work with marks because the Deadeye Ascendancy gets a cool new meta skill that works together with marks. So that's a nice thing. I'm going crit hollow palm Amazon. It's not that good. I'll just switch. Exactly. I mean, you don't have to write and die a build. If it doesn't work, you just swap away and do something else. Correct? You're not forced to keep playing a thing that you don't like. I just generally want to play new things, right? Why would I play something that I've played already? Right? I could do a Shockwave Totem Warrior to just see how did the Shockwave changes affect a warrior. But then again, there's a cool new fissure stuff. That's like you intentionally refusing to play cool new stuff because you're extra, right? That's also why I'm not too interested in Infernalist, because the changes to minions are pretty much just minimal, but they're still fun, right? That your minions are actually getting cool new skills is kind of nice. That your skeletal brutes, what was it? I think here skeletal brutes, they get a new command skill. Shattering Roar is a war cry that intimidates nearby enemies and consumes freeze on enemies and allies to deal damage in an area around those targets. So you can have your frost mages who make ice armor, and then you can have your brutes who roar to consume the ice armor. Now, I know that a lot of people will tell me I don't want to play minions and then use skills because I wanted to play minions for a passive playstyle. Right? Will Titan be good now? Titan has 0 changes, so Titan will be good by being the Titan. Now, obviously, Titan did get weaker because Giant's Blood got nerfed. So any build that's been using two-handed weapons now has less life than ever. And as we know, a warrior having less life than ever is shit. Your Huntress crossbow build was pretty good. Yeah, but they nerfed the crit now on the Huntress, so it's kind of sad. Can you convert fire to cold damage and run Forge Hammer in a minion build? I mean, you could at least explode the Forge Hammer with your brutes, probably. I need to see if I can run Smith, then Temper Hammer my hands with Hollow Palm. Even then, the anvil will not be good, right? Even then, the anvil will not be good. By the way, chat, I really enjoy how so many of you just really enjoy talking about Path of Exile 2. So thank you for sharing this interest with me. Thank you for so many of you actually being here. This has me plenty excited for the week to come, because this whole week we will actually be streaming Path of Exile 2, and it's all going to be theory crafting a bit towards the release. So what I'm going to be doing today is off stream. I will put everything we have learned here a bit to use. I will think about the Fissure Warrior, and we will actually also play a bit of Fissure, because you already have Fissure in the game, right? I have a lot of Titans going on, so we actually will experiment a bit around with it. Obviously, it's vastly weaker than what it's going to be, because it simply does not work the way that it's supposed to work, right? Fissure just doesn't do, like, it doesn't do the aftershocks. You can't slam into the Fissure. Yet still, though, we can already put some of our brain power into this to see what we can actually do, right? Preliminary with the characters that we have. That's at least my plan. and I hope you're all excited for this, that you just know what we're going to be streaming the next couple of days, what's going to be going on here, and we'll be doing a lot of like thought processes, also what we can do with a blood mage. Now, obviously, we don't know about the new passive skills in the skill tree, right? That is going to change everything we can prepare, but at least we can think about some of the supports we want to use and other stuff. What we also have to think about is how to level, right? How are we going to level? Because there's no universal good leveling strategy anymore. Like for Warrior, we're going to be returning to Bone Shatter leveling, right? Because we could actually level with a Rake Stomping Ground. But Rake Stomping Ground got nerfed into the ground and doesn't exist. So every single character has to go back to their own respective leveling strategies, right? Usually that's also what we do. So in case you're new to this channel, hi. Shield Charge Stomping Ground. I think that like Shield Charge Stomping Ground could still work actually. Did they? Wait, no, they did something to Shield Charge too. Shield Charge here. The skill's base movement speed has been reduced by 25%, but it no longer has a cooldown. Now has a base attack time of 0.6 seconds, and now deals up to 100% more damage based on the distance traveled. Area of effect now deals 30 to 94% attack damage at gem levels 30 to 20 previously, while the collision now deals attack damage way less. Quality now provides deal up to more damage based on the distance traveled. Previous it was cooldown recovery rate. No CD is OP. Yeah, I mean, if it works with Stomping Ground, did they do anything to Stomping Ground itself? I mean, they nerfed the Stomping Ground Rake interaction, obviously. Fixed a bug where Vaulting Impact did not create a shockwave when supported by Stomping Ground. I mean, yeah, you could probably Shield Charge Stomping Ground. I mean, it's not going to be as good as Rake. No, they didn't remove Traversal either. They removed Traversal from Rake, but not from Stomping Ground. So the question was not, can we Rake Stomping Ground? Because we know we can't Rake Stomping Ground. The question was, could we still do Shield Charge Stomping Ground? Right? Because you have Shield Charge. So could we do that instead? And how efficient would it be? The problem is you'd have to use a skill for that, right? To get Shield Charge.
Shield Charge is best used for stunning a small...
And the sad part about Shield Charge is that you can't just spam it as much as you can do Stomping Ground, right? Rake. But because Rake was so strong because you just held Rake down. I mean, Shield Charge is like this, right? And then you like... You have to hit something, and then you have to do it again, and then you have to do it again, and then you have to do it again, right? You have to like do this, and then you have to do it, and then you have to do it, and then you have to do it, and then you have to do it. I'm not sure if that's going to feel good leveling. Usually when I level, so this is very important, chat. When I level a character, when we play a character, on this channel at least, we're also playing the character with the things given to the character. Okay? So when I play a Merc, then I'm going to use Merc skills. When I play a Monk, I'm using Monk skills, right? Sure, there will be later down the league a level video on how to level most efficiently. But if I already play a Char, I at least want to use the skills of the Char. I think that makes sense, right? So if I play a Grenade Warrior, a Grenade Merc, I will use grenades. Who would have guessed? Or I will use crossbow skills. And if I use a Warrior, I'll use Bone Shatter. I mean, obviously, leveling a Tactician, the best way to level a Tactician is to just use Bone Shatter. Yeah. You just equip a weapon and you just use Bone Shatter until like, what, level 20 or 30 almost. Because that's how stupid it is. Earthquake Shockwave Totem will probably be good. The only problem with Earthquake Shockwave Totem is that Shockwave Totem can't make Jack Ground themselves anymore, but they can now explode Jack Ground more efficient. The question is really how much damage more do you need on your weapons? So yeah, Shockwave Totem is going to be interesting. Because it cannot itself create Jack Ground, right? And supports no longer apply to Shockwave Totem to make Jack Ground. But it now explodes it for 240% damage instead of 53% damage. So that's kind of cool. As you say, you can get the totems out, you can get the earthquakes out, and you can see if there's actually a meaningful damage boost coming from it. Definitely something I want to do. Good. That being said, chat, I think we're going to be wrapping it up here. That was an amazing stream with all of you. That was great, good fun. I hope I could give you some feeling on the nerfs and buffs to the things. Obviously, everything we learned today, okay? Everything that we talked about today. There will be a video either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow with kind of all of this wrapped up, like the winners and losers of the patch. I think it should be coming out tomorrow. Like, I have one more Diablo video, then I have the Path of Exile video for you, and I think tomorrow we'll already experiment a bit around with some of the Totem Mercenary stuff. We're gonna like simulate a little bit of the patch. We're gonna do some Fissure Warrior shenanigans. I might actually have to do some Acolyte of Shaula leveling to get a bit used to this. Obviously, it doesn't play exactly like this right now, but I still have to get used to it. So, thank you very much for coming and watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a very good time. And this could give you a bit more feeling for what the changes influenced or not. But no worries, we'll also obviously play every single thing of this. Therefore, take care. Great good time, evening, night, day. And thank you for spending time with me.